Let's go! What's going on, YouTube world? Steve, Edward, and Dave. This is the Insert Revolution podcast. This is episode number 37. During this episode, we're hoping to have a few more folks on. Ed's gonna parlay some of his thoughts, some of his observations. Maybe they're too spicy for his channel. Nothing's too spicy here. This is this King Spicy Chicken Sandwich channel. Everyone else, imitators, duplicators. You can't duplicate, you can't imitate. Hit the bricks. So he's going to give us some tidbits from the national that just went down in Chicago. I've offered and extended that olive branch to a few other collectors. They show. If they don't, that's fine. Love all the same. So, Steve, I'll let you. Or should we go Ed first since he's our guest? See how he's doing this evening?
Sure.
How are you, Ed?
I'm doing good, Dave. Steve, I'm doing. Thanks for having me on, fellas. Congratulations, 50 episodes, man. I can't believe it's already 50 episodes. That is wild.
That it literally seems like it went like a snap. I mean, it was quick. Because again, these things are sort of our escape from regular life, escape from jobs, escape from whatever nonsense and times of tumult are going on in the real world. Just to focus in, hone in on our hobby, hone in on our home away from home, as it were. So hopefully you got, I don't know, tons more to go, but that train doesn't seem to be slowing down at any time. So which is good. Got a lot of folks out there too.
Yeah, the comments started early, which is
we're waiting for this one,
which was a little unusual, but always appreciated. So Ed, I'm glad you were able to join last week, even though you stood us up for a little bit. I'm going to be a little late, and if you happen to go back and watch the first part of the episode, I did go ahead and ask if you had attended the Laura Kretz School of Timekeeping as it pertains to providing estimated times, because my wife is really bad with that. But, we always appreciate you coming and hanging out. We are going to be really interested to hear your feedback and your take on at least your experiences, because, everybody's is different. As Dave alluded to, we're hoping that Brad is able to join here in a little bit, though, as well, because it being his first national, the experiences may be a little bit different from his perspective. Attending multiple, not to mention you kept us very much up to date in our group chat, which was always enjoyable. As I always say, I observe a lot of what's going on in the chat, and I pipe in on certain instances when I feel like I need to. But there were a few times you gave me a good chuckle, so definitely appreciate the rhetoric in that as you were noticing things and keeping us up to date. So we kind of were living the national vicarious through you, so to speak. So thank you for that. Outside of that, it's another day for me. I always look forward to Tuesday nights, as Dave always says. Those who always come and hang out, we always do appreciate you. We can always count on you for being here and hanging out. I did not go. I was not shut out for July as far as pickups are concerned. Only those in the group chat know what I'm referring to. Brad actually did land a deal on a TD card for the Collection Wallet National. So in all the years I've been in the YouTube community, somebody was able to locate something and pick up a Terrell Davis from the National. So it's kind of cool that Brad was able to locate a card and land it. I've already purchased it. I've already paid for it. Brad shipped it yesterday. So looking forward to getting that. It's the first autograph that I've picked up in probably, I'm guessing, 3 years. So pretty cool to show that off when I actually get that in.
And I will say hi. We got Yannick, Bobby Burrell, Ty, Clint, Andy. First time I've seen your name, my good man. What's going on? Watched your video earlier. There's Clint there. Hopefully the word spreads. Again, we Steve and I both liken it, as you know, Ed, to the old blog TV. Now we just have it recorded so we can watch it later, and we try to sort of have. Whereas blog, yep, you wanted to get in there, maybe just BS about music, sports. Somebody had a break going on, like Denny or GSN Nick. Somebody, Steve, when he was doing the boxes, we come there for that at the beginning. But what we wanted to come for was like the stuff later on, the talking, just the hangout. Because again, we're not in the same town. Most of us aren't in the same region. Some of us aren't even in the same country. So again, hanging out, just sitting around a fire pit or just like a table, we can't do that. It's just not feasible. So this is the next best thing. We get to espouse a little of our hobby banter, our knowledge, our gibberish, some of the seeds that we have in our mind, and then just go down every path imaginable. So glad you spoke to the crew, the old school guys, maybe for 20 aim for AC. We'll try to get something out for the IRP. My brain is fried as it is. It's going to be like this is your brain on drugs. Any questions? This is my brain. This is my brain with more work constantly heaped upon me. How do you expect me to make merchandise? So we'll get something going though. Rick, what's going on?
Before we get too far in, like I said, hopefully Brad can join a little bit later on. If not, we have plenty of feedback and input from Ed. That's for sure. We will have a package opening later on this evening. Dave better have those nearby, courtesy of Vinny. Good deal. So you will want to stick around for that, everybody. I'm just going to go ahead and throw it out there. Everybody will want to stick around for that. I think you will be pleasantly surprised, and I'll leave it at that. What's going on, Dr. Exclusive? So before we get too far and start diving into the questions.
Sponsor tonight, Bud Light. Tap into the flatland.
Yeah, I haven't. As everybody knows, I go through spurts. It all depends on what's on sale at the time in which the wife goes to the store. I like them both. Hopefully, I've said this before, we are now officially in August. So sometime near the end of August, this show hopefully will be sponsored by Yingling. What's going on, Sanderson?
What's going on, man?
So I'm looking forward to that. I won't even drink any of it until the show once I get my hands on it. So we'll do a random taste test and see what I've been missing all these years because everybody talks so much about it. So
hopefully you won't get it on a Wednesday. You gotta wait basically the weekend. You're like, we gotta do a show. We gotta do a show Thursday. I got Thursday beer. Like,
No, I can graciously wait until our normal scheduled broadcast. But yeah. So Ed, Crypto Griff / Crypto Grifter, he's been known to be named by Carlos. Fill us in. We knew when you got there. We knew roughly when you came home. It's the floor is yours. Take it wherever you want to, and then as questions come up in the chat or Dave and I think of something, we'll throw it out there and take it from there, my friend. You got the floor.
I got you. I don't even know where to begin with the national this year. You could use any adjective or any word you want to use to describe it. Like insane, crazy, wild. I said this to Eric, those back pages, and I said it to a couple other people at the Lowe's meetup, but 2021 this year compared to 2019, they aren't even in the same universe. They aren't even the shows aren't even comparable. It was pandemonium there for the weekend. The amount of people that were there, and we all were saying, I mean, pretty much everyone in the community I know here on the IRP, everyone that we talk to on a regular basis, we were all saying it was going to be crowded. That was to be expected, but the sheer volume of people that were in there literally made the building hot. Like it was hotter in the convention center than it was outside, and I've never seen anything like it. And then the after shows, like there's so much that happened. I probably should have written down bulletin points to go over to keep this more organized. But even the after trade shows, there was a show after the show. Like there were trade nights that were massive, and when I mean massive, I'm talking like 1,500 plus people, like showing up to trade stuff, to buy stuff, every night at a different hotel, every night, and the stuff would go to like midnight, 1, 2 in the morning. I don't even know when they stopped. I don't know when the official stop time was. I know the one at our hotel, which was the Embassy Suites, they went to I think 2 in the morning, and I walked by there at 1:30 in the morning, and there was a packed house. It looked like there was 500 people still in there. So now everyone's going to have a different perspective on the national. Who you talk to. You could talk to somebody. You could talk to someone like Brad, who it was their first national. Someone like me, who this was their fourth national. Maybe someone it's their second. Maybe an OG like Chris Sichtifer, who's been to dozens of nationals, or Manny, who's been to tons of nationals as well. But for me, I bought the single day passes. So the VIP package is sold out. And I'll say this right now. If you didn't have a VIP package, it was rough getting in there. It was rough every morning getting into the actual show. So if you had a VIP pass, I think things went a lot smoother for you. Now, I had the single day passes that I bought off the website. And honestly, those kind of sucked because every time I would go over there, you would have to wait about an hour and a half just to get through the line to get in. So they would put the line, they would herd the line into a separate area, and you would have like a couple thousand people in this line, and then they would ferry you through because they had different color wristbands for every day. And that whole system just, I understand why they were doing it, because you need different color bands to show that you paid for each day. But it was a huge disadvantage, in my opinion, if you wanted to get into the show early, because it just wasn't happening. So by Friday, I just said, I'm not going over there early. I'm going to have to go over there at noon, because I'm just not going to stand there for an hour and a half with a group of people, like in a room with like a couple thousand people waiting to get in. I just rather sleep in a little more, maybe grab breakfast, and just head over there at noon. So that's kind of what I was doing. Now the con to that was, or the pro to that was, I can get in faster, walk over, get my wristband, no wait, just walk right in. The con to that was, by the time I got over there, if you want to look through a value box, forget about it. You were not going to look through a value box. you guys know the way I collect. I love looking through value boxes. That is my bread and butter. I maybe looked in 1 or 2 value boxes the entire time there, because every time I found a value box, and there was a good amount of value boxes there, I was pleasantly surprised with that. I know a couple months ago, we were talking about on this channel, hey, are they going to do value boxes? Are they going to be a thing of the past? Well, I'm pleasantly surprised and very happy to report that there was tons of value boxes there. The problem was that there was 4 to 5 rows of people going through value boxes. So it just was not, it's like, okay, you had to say to yourself, do I want to stand here for an hour just to get into the value box? Just to get in. And when you get into the value box, that's another hour that you have to look through all the cards. So it became a question of time. So I'm like, I don't want to allocate all that time because the show is so friggin' huge. They expanded. They actually, Chicago, the convention center, they did a really, really great job. They expanded certain parts on the red carpet area. If you've seen videos of people doing walkthroughs, there's a section of the convention center that has all red carpet. They had that in 2019, but they expanded it to be a little bigger. And also they added a ton more tables up by the Breaker Pavilion. They actually made the Breaker Pavilion a little smaller, I feel like, and put just more dealers up there, which was pretty cool. So there was tons of stuff to do. I mean, there's tons of showcases and tables to go through. So I just didn't want to stand around for an hour just to get through value boxes. It just wasn't, I just didn't want to do it, which it did take away a big bullet for me on how I approach shows in general, how I approach card shows. Because when I go to any type of card show, you guys know, I always hit up the value boxes. That's kind of what I like to do. And I always find hidden gems in value boxes going through. And I will say, the 2 value boxes I went through with the same dealer, I went through them with Brad, and it was 5:30. It was a half an hour to close in, which is why we were able to go through the boxes, and they were loaded. There was a lot of great shit in that value box. I think this was on, I want to say it was Friday. It was either Thursday or Friday. And Brad found a couple cards that he picked up, and I found a couple cards. And talking to people at the after parties and talking to other, people in the community, they all told me these boxes are loaded. There are some amazing value boxes out there. Ed, what are you doing? You got to start looking through some of these boxes. I'm just like, dude, by the time I get in there, it's just not happening. It's just, there's too many people. So that was one aspect that was way different than years past, because years past, you did not have that issue. So that was a capacity thing. I think the whole thing that we were talking about as well, I know a lot of speculation, a lot of people were saying about PSA. A lot of people were saying they're not going to pay $250 to get a card graded. They shut that stuff down by Wednesday. By Wednesday, it was shut down. They weren't accepted. They were at, I believe one dealer told me they were at 90% capacity. So they just cut it off to give, I guess, another 10% a chance on Thursday. And Thursday, when I got there, I believe Mike Baseball Collector, it's in his one video where he shows the line. Mm-hmm. I believe it's on Thursday. That line was like 200 people deep. And just think, every card that someone wants to get graded there is $250. Yeah. Every card that person is standing in line for. 2 cards, $500. I mean, just think about that. So the demand for PSA was bonkers. I mean, I thought it was bad in 2019 and 2018 because PSA has always consistently had pretty big lines at the National. I mean, that's not a surprise. But I thought that the price point would have maybe had that line a little smaller. I didn't expect them to reach capacity by Wednesday. So that was pretty crazy because I did go over there not to get a card graded, but I wanted to go over there because I mentioned in my video prior to going out there, I wanted to look into PSA DNA to maybe get that CD case of mine authenticated and encapsulated. And I just did a 180. I did a 360, walked right out of there. I'm like, I'm not wasting all my time in this line just to ask a question that you might not do it or might not. I mean, that's just stupidity right there. I'm not going to do that. So there was also that dealers hashtag good deals only. Dealers were willing to negotiate. They were willing to come down on their sticker price. Now, all dealers weren't like that. Obviously, there were some dealers who were very steadfast in their price. And I will make an observation on my part here. Every dealer that I negotiated a deal with, they were willing to come down on modern and ultra modern. When it came to vintage, they were stingy. They would not budge. Like there was one card I really, really was going pretty hard after. It was the 1954 Rich Ashburn, the red. I forget what the exact destination is. Like it's those redback cards. But it was a PSA 7. The guy had it for a price of $350, which I thought was a little bit high. But those cards are tough to grade in a high grade. So I offered him 300. He just said, "Listen, it's like I'm just gonna tell you straight up, I can't come down $1 on this card. Like that's just the price. It is what it is. If you can pay for it, fine. If not, I'm sorry, I can't do anything for you." And then there was a 1962 Mickey Mantle and a SGC 2.5. I think the guy had a $200 price tag. It was either 180 or 200. And I negotiated with him. He was firm. He would not come down. I sent Baseball Collector over there. I said, give this guy the Texas Strong Arm. See what price you can get for me. He told Mike to take a hike, just like he told me. And then I sent JT over there. I said, hey, see if you this is the last bullet in the chamber. Let's see what price you can get. This was not in repeated succession, by the way. This was a couple. I mean, it would look suspicious if 3 people came up in the course of 5 minutes asking for the same card. I mean, you might jack the price up. But JT went over there, and the guy was still firm on it. So I thought that was interesting. So from my perspective, dealers weren't they were sticking firm to the sticker on vintage. And again, that's just from my experience. I know other people. I've seen recap videos where dealers came down. I know Mike O got a couple pretty big vintage cards, the 50 Bowman Jackie and the PB Reese. I know they took money off for him. So, I mean, not every experience is the same. So, but that was just my experience in negotiating with the dealers. I also saw. We also joked about it for a long time about the buy-in, all the dudes with the Pelican cases, good deals only, hashtag the vibe. Honestly, I was kind of surprised there wasn't more of it. I thought there would be more of it. Now, don't get me wrong, there was a lot of it there, but I didn't think it was as crazy as I thought it would be. Maybe I built up something in my head, like where everyone was going to be doing it, but it honestly wasn't too bad. It honestly wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. Most dealers had signs that say buy-in. I did see a lot of deals going down with dealers. I saw a lot of cash and maybe cards going to land some cards. I know Dave and Adams was aggressively buying. They were very aggressively buying. Steel City, all the corporate wax guys were aggressively buying. I will say the thing that sold the best at the show was sealed wax. If you had sealed wax, you were making coin. That was the number one thing that was in demand. I would say sealed wax was number one, and I would say Otani. Anything slabbed of Otani was highly in demand, and I think that's partly why I was able to get that trade down for the PSA 9 trout, because I was training the refractor of Otani, and everyone was trying to get Otani cards. There was the rumor Steve Aoki is walking around. He'll pay any price for any slabbed Otani, and the dude was making transactions, buying up Otani. So there was kind of, I would say, midway through the show, there was just this Otani fever pitch. So I said, hey, this is a good opportunity to try to get that trout back. Let me find a dealer. And I only took it to 2 dealers. And the first dealer that I negotiated with, he was about to make the trade. He was like, I think I'll do it. It wasn't for the trout update. It was actually for the Juan Soto PSA 10 in the dugout short print. Because he had a price on that for $1,500. That's another card I would love to have. And I saw that, and I was just like, oh, this guy seemed, and he had a ton of Otani in his showcase. So I'm like, maybe I'll get this card instead than the trout. So went over to him, and the deal was almost done. And then he was like, well, let me look up some comps of this. So I was just like, well, I can tell you the comps because I've been following them hardcore. I was like, one sold for $1,600, buy it now. Another one sold for $1,600 through PWCC, and one sold. Now this was on Thursday, and one sold yesterday, Wednesday, for $1,100. Whoa, what happened there? I'm like, well, what do you mean? What happened there? He's like, why did it drop? I'm like, well, everyone's here at the National. All the big money's at the National. Obviously, people are going to be buying online when they can get it at the show. I don't know, man. That scares me. I'm terrified now. I can't do it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I don't want to strong arm you. That's cool. I'll take the card somewhere else. And that's what I did. So I see it as I saw it as the universe, or the card universe, stretching its hand out and saying, get the trout, you dumb fuck.
Yeah.
You came here for the trout. Get the trout. Don't get the Soto. And sure enough, the next dealer I took it to, and I was with Stove. I dropped the card. The guy's like, holy shit, this is a PSA 10. He's like, what's the pop on this? I'd never seen this in a PSA 10. I'm like, it's a pop of 34. He pulled out his phone. He had the PSA app, scanned it. Of course, it said pop 34. He's like, what do you want for this? I'm like, just one of the trouts in your showcase, a PSA 9. He's like, trout straight up? I'm like, yeah, straight up. He's like, sure, I'll do it. So I'm like, okay, thank you. And then I finally got it.
Well, at a bare minimum, you at least got what you were going after. I mean, you tried it at the Philly show and failed miserably. Not because of you, so to speak. Everybody was, against Otani, at least at the Philly show. It was all about the others. We won't go into in-depth conversation. For anybody who wants to go back and hear that conversation, it's in one of the past archives. Ed kind of shared that via chat on one of the episodes. He wasn't live during that time, but so at a bare minimum, would you consider the show being a success overall because you were at least able to do exactly what you were wanting to do, and that was to get your trout PSA 9 back into your collection? If you picked up nothing else, you would have been 100% satisfied with the outcome.
I consider for me personally, the show was probably my best national. Money wise and pickup wise, I would probably say it was my best. I went out there with 2,000 to bring, and I left there with only spending $200 from the stuff that I sold, from the sealed boxes I sold of Chrome Update from 18 and 19. I mean, I did not expect that. I expected to probably come home with maybe like $500, $600, probably spent around $1,500 or $1,600, and I expected to have a lot of value box cards, and maybe if things were going good, one of the Trout updates for the Otani, but I exceeded my expectations on pickups and on the amount that I spent. I didn't expect to come home with the amount of money I came home with.
So we knew that you sold the one box because you had mentioned that in the chat. So
Yes.
This is Dave, and keep me honest here, unless you and Ed had a separate conversation. Were you aware that he ended up selling the other one too, or are you in the same?
I think I remember reading in the chat about one price, a hair under a C note or something, and then one. And I don't know if he said in the chat or he said in one of the videos. And I sort of put it together in the video that he had sold. I knew he'd sold the other one cheaper, and then the 18 was. And I'm like, okay, say I got this much from the boxes in the video, so that might have been where I picked it up from. One of the recaps or somewhere along the line.
Yeah, and I'm behind on video, so if you mention it in video,
I definitely mentioned it in the video.
Okay, I'm slacking.
I actually showed the money. This is weird. I thought it was really weird. I showed the money in the video, the $100 bills that David Adams and Steel City gave me. I legitimately showed the money for about 3 seconds. I just went like that, and then I pulled it back. And that was the thumbnail.
Yeah.
That was the thumbnail. I'm like, dude, it's a 12-minute video. I showed the money for maybe like 4 seconds, and that was the freaking thumbnail. And I uploaded it on mobile on my phone, and I normally don't upload on my phone. Like if I go to, I film the videos on my phone, but when I go to upload it, I go to the laptop here, and then I title the video and I choose the thumbnail. So I thought that was really strange, and all the views on that video are because of the thumbnail. I think that video has like 15,000. It has 1,500 views, and then like the other videos, I think I have like 300. Not that I care about that, but I'm like, it's because of the thumbnail. It's because of the money in the thumbnail. But
hey, whatever works, Ed. I mean, come on.
Yeah, but I will say, if you were selling wax, you have to, and you're not familiar with the hobby though. Hopefully, you made good moves, because I went to David Adams to sell the 2018. Like if you didn't know price, you have to know prices of what you're selling. And I had the 2018 mega box. Now that sells for about $500 on eBay, give or take. And I go over to David Adams, and they were offering strong on the 2019. I mean, giving $100 for that, I think that's a really good price. And I said, what would you give for the 2018? And the guy's like, the best we can do is 300. I'm like, dude, they're selling for like $5. I'm like, that's a little too much profit to give you guys. I was like, I'm just good with the one box, selling you the one box. Walked maybe 10 feet to Steel City. Hey, what are you guys offering on 2018? 400. You walk 10 feet, and I got another $100. So, I mean, I feel bad for anyone that sold 2018 to David Adams, because they could have got $100 more if they just took their ass a couple more steps.
So why didn't you walk another 10 more feet and get 450? Ed, come on.
Blowout was the next one, and I checked on their site. And I don't even think they had 2018 update on there. But Blowout was weird. Actually, I went to Blowout first, and they only had 2 guys that had the okay to buy. And I went to the guy. First of all, there was like 4 of us there that were trying to sell stuff. So the one guy that had the authority to make the purchases, he's like, "What are you looking to sell?" I told him 2018 Chrome Update Mega Box. Oh, that's cool. he walks like 4 steps over and starts talking to a guy about Marvel Comics and Thor comics. I'm like, are we discussing making a deal here? And then he gets into this big conversation. The guy behind me is like, what's going on? Aren't you trying to make a sale with that guy? I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on here. He was talking to me, and now he's talking about comics. I'm like, this is kind of strange. So I'm like, let me see how long this goes on for. Check my watch. 5 minutes passed. I'm like, you know what? I'm wasting my time here. Toodaloo. But it was bizarre. It was strange. I asked a couple other people. I was like, has that ever happened to you at the Platt? They're like, well, sometimes. I'm like, their attention span's a little short over there. I'm like, dude, it was kind of weird. But hey,
Hashtag ADD.
maybe it was a little strange.
He big league, yeah.
That he did. Hey, I'm not complaining though. I got. Well, I mean, that's what I went looking for. I was looking for 100 and 400, so I got the price I was looking for. Maybe I could have squeezed for another 50 or another 25 on the other box, but I mean, when you get the cash in hand, tax free, no fees, I mean, you're winning there. I feel like you're doing good. Not going to haggle over a couple extra bucks. I will say, Rick brought it up in the comments. Not many cameras, lots of kids. That was really cool to see. There was a lot of younger kids at the show, kids with their parents walking around. There was more kids at this show, and when I say kids, I mean under 14. There was more kids at this show than I've seen at any of the other nationals combined that I've gone to. So that was really cool. I also saw a decent amount of girls there too, so that was really cool to see. There's usually just 50,000 dudes in a fucking convention center, so it was good to see. Like, oh, there are girls who collect cards, so that's really cool. That was nice to see. And
I was going to ask the question. And I don't mean to interrupt you, but I had noticed that in some of the posts that I was seeing on Instagram, some of the various pictures, there seemed to be a lot more women.
Yes,
there maybe not from a collector perspective, because you can't always tell within pictures. You know what I mean? Here's a broad picture of a buttload of people walking the aisles of the National. You know, are they there with their significant other, their boyfriend, their husband, whatever, or are they actually there as collectors? So I did want to bring that up, and I'm glad that you did to kind of solidify what I thought to be the possibility of what seems to be an increase in the women being involved in the hobby itself. So I think that's kind of cool.
There was also a lot of women or I guess I would say maybe like early 20s, maybe 18 around there, girls setting up for the trade nights, doing a lot of the trade nights with selling cards and stuff. Like most of it, I would say, was basketball related, basketball and football. But I just thought that was pretty cool because, like I said again, it's usually like 50,000 dudes in the convention center. So pretty cool to see a change in demographic there a little bit. I mean, they're making a little headway there. Also, I did notice a little more diversity of people there, more Asian, Hispanic, African American, which is also great to see because it's usually a whole bunch of white dudes at the show. So that was cool to see. So I thought all those points were really interesting, and again, I like to see some of the changing of the demographic in the hobby. So I think that's a really good thing.
Brad's new best friend. Unlike Steve, I've been watching content constantly, just because. And I've always done it. If I can't make a national, I want to live vicariously through it. That's why I always tell people, make videos, even if it's clips, even if you come out like you had your like clip video, even if it's after the fact, just put together those moments. That way, anybody that missed out, guess what? You missed something. Ha on you. pie on your face, egg on your face, whatever. And about halfway through, I'm like, you know what? I'm really on the fence of like, I really wish I could be there. Seeing the people, I knew it'd be crowded. Everybody knew, like you said, would be crowded. We've talked about it ad nauseum. That was just a shit ton of people.
Oh,
So, but seeing Jay, our good friend Team Schmedium, Mojo Sports, he had a video, I think, of, I don't know if it was Saturday's video. It must have been Saturday. And there was like an African American couple and their daughter was like, I think she said 21. And she had like the mini lunchbox Pelican case. And she had some stupid bangers in there. Not to sound like a kid, but I mean, just some insane cards that I'm like, you look and not even color wise, you just look, it's like, okay, normal family, good looking gal, I think she said 21, and I'm like, you're not thinking you're pulling out like exquisite RPAs of like early exquisite basketball, early Kobe stuff. Like there's a Sign of the Times Kobe auto from 98, 99 and they're graded. I'm like, huh?
heavy hitters.
Like an East-West refractor with Jordan. So it's, you're not just pulling out a Josh Johnson Topps Chrome and throwing out the flexclamation points. You've actually got some flexing going on, and you would have never. You see him walking down the street, any race, creed, or color, and you're thinking, just some nice cards probably in there, but nothing that you're just like, holy crap. You went Arnold Schwarzenegger with like Mr. World or Mr. Universe on us. So what's up, Adam? And it was amazing to see that, where people, you look at the people, and I do it horribly a lot in the sports cards when you're like, this guy probably has nothing, and looks like literally he's Oscar the Grouch in human form. And they open up the case, and it's like, oh my God, what happened here? It's like you got the glow and whatever, and there's all the shine in there, but it was good to see that, where it wasn't just your normal, almost like the country club-esque, oh, this guy's like wearing a suit, perhaps, and he's got like 3 Pelican cases, or what'd your Lord Don call them, Apache cases or something. Like that stuff, walking in with all these cards that are just like, hey, oh, there's a new house in the Hamptons. Oh, there's a new cottage on Lake Superior Ranch.
I remember
you to see everybody sort of not being the wealth being spread per se, but you're like, man, this is cool seeing cards that you're not putting the card like the match game. You're not matching the Mahomes cracked ice with this dude. It's like, this dude, that guy over there's got it? What? How does that work out?
I remember, I'm glad more people saw it, because a couple people were talking about that, the younger kids with the cases filled with just, cards that you could buy houses with.
Mm-hmm.
And I brought that point up a couple times on here and even on my own channel. And I want to say, not that people probably didn't believe me. I feel like people thought maybe I was exaggerating a little bit. And I'm like, dude, I've seen this with my own eyes. I've seen kids at the National in 2018 and 2019 with mom and dad behind them, negotiating like big deals, like deals where you could buy a Mercedes-Benz or BMW type of deals, like serious cards. And mom and dad don't have nothing to do with it. They're just watching, supervising. They don't have final say. These kids are just, training up, or doing whatever they're doing. I mean, I've seen it before. So, cue to this year, there was more of them doing that. And some of these kids were walking around with insane cards, like centerpiece collection cards. And I'm like, I'm glad people are seeing this, because this has been going on the last couple years, maybe it was more out of sight, out of mind, but I'm like, I did try to spread a little spotlight on this. And now more people are seeing it. So it's good because, I mean, it's just wild. It's just wild to think about. I mean, at that age, I was not doing that. I was sending out TTMs trying to get autographs and just spending, 40 cents a stamp or 30 cents a stamp. Wasn't dealing in, 90s inserts of Michael Jordan or, high grade vintage rookie cards, Hall of Famers. So, I mean, for some people, it's a shock to the system seeing that in person. They're like, holy shit, like this kid in his case has enough money to buy maybe a beachfront property. Like, I mean, it makes you pause for a second and really contemplate. That's how much the hobby's thriving and how much, things are getting wild in here. So,
well, they've obviously learned from. I won't call them some of our mistakes, but most of us have all said, if we would have done things differently, based on where the market is now, if we would have just put a different spin or a different focus on the collecting aspect, we would be in a different position as it pertained to our collections and things along those lines. None of us would regret it. We don't do it out of regret. It's just one of those in which it's like, okay, if I knew now if I knew then what I knew now, I would have done things potentially different. I would have looked at expanding, into this sport or into this player or into, whatever. So they have a lot of individuals to learn from as well out there in the space as it pertains to social media, whether it be Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, whatever. They have a lot of that is at their fingertips. When we first started doing all this was all new from the card collecting world, so to speak, of making videos and showing off your collection and your pickups and stuff along those lines. So there's more information readily at their fingertips to be able to educate them and to give them, some additional insight into what one person may do or what somebody's done wrong, ways to do this, do that. So it's nice to see. I'm kind of jealous to a certain degree, but at the same time, I'm still very pleased with what I've acquired over the years, and it's still enjoyable for me. This was never anything in which I thought that I would retire off of type situation. That was never the thought process. But at least from the future of the hobby perspective, if there are that many kids in, the younger age range that have that skill set and build those collections, it makes you feel good as far as where the future is potentially headed in the space long term.
yes.
So that's always good from that standpoint. I do have a question for you, and you may or may not be able to answer it. And this is like the negative aspect of it. I know, Dave, you shared in our group chat a couple things as it pertains to theft at the National. One person got caught stealing like a $5 value box type situation, and then of course somebody ended up losing like 3 cards valued at $50,000. Substantial amounts of money as it pertains to cardboard specifically. Outside of those two that Dave happened to come across, were you aware of anything else that may have transpired through any interactions with YouTubers or at trade nights or anything along those lines? Did you hear anything else outside of those potential ones that Dave brought up?
This was actually the first national that I didn't see myself personally see someone get arrested. In 2016, I saw someone get arrested. In 2018, I saw the FBI come in and lug out the forger, the guy who was selling the forged autographs. In 2019, I saw the guy get tackled who was trying to go out the emergency exit. So, we were doing in the group chat, and I know we were doing even on here, I think on Tuesday. last Tuesday I brought it up. The over under 1.5 on arrest at the National. I said take the over. There's probably going to be a few of them. I did not see. This was the first National. I did not see personally anyone get arrested. However, the guy in the blue shirt that got taken out in handcuffs, I knew of that because that started spreading like wildfire on social media. I think by Saturday. So I was aware of it by Saturday that guy got arrested. I honestly want to see some police reports to see how many arrests there were that weekend. Because as far as I know, there was 2. The guy stealing the dollar cards, and then the other guy in the blue shirt, I believe. So I believe there was 2. But it wouldn't surprise me if there was maybe a few more. I mean, because just from desperate times, desperate people, that guy was stealing dollar cards. How fucking stupid do you gotta be to steal dollar cards?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when I heard that, I was just like, and he was older too. He wasn't even a kid. I was just like, he looks like someone's dad, maybe. Like, what was this guy thinking? What was going through his mind to do that? And I will say, this kind of ties in a little bit about the theft thing or people stealing. The police presence at this weekend at the convention at the National was unlike any I've ever seen before. There was police officers patrolling the aisles at the convention center. And again, in all my years going to the National, you always will see a police officer there, usually a sheriff, at the entrance, and then that's it. You maybe see like 1 or 2 police the entire time. I must have saw about like 20 or 30 police officers in the convention center just patrolling the aisles. I feel like they had someone patrolling each aisle. Now, granted, it's a big, huge perimeter. It's a big space that they have to go through, but there was a lot of police there. And apparently there was also undercover police there. They said there was about maybe like 30 or 50 undercover cops just walking around. So there was a strong security presence at the National to combat any nefarious ideas or activities that people might have had.
I was wondering if they were going to increase security just because of the media aspect and the booming aspect of the overall hobby in general. I mean, you're talking years ago, you may have been talking tens of thousands of dollars in cards most people would have been carrying with them. Now you're talking hundreds of thousands into the millions of dollars and sitting in some of these showcases. So you're talking substantial amounts of money. I did want to circle back though, Joey. How bad was it for you though, since you specifically had mentioned that you did get pickpocketed from your backpack? How much of an impact? How bad was it? I mean, was it substantial? Hopefully it wasn't, anything thousands of dollars worth. Not that it makes it any less hurtful or make you that much more pissed off. But I'm curious in the end to see how many people may find out after they get back in which they've been like pickpocketed because of the vast number of people and people potentially working in teams. And all it takes is one bump to, undo a zipper. And then here comes the next guy right behind you to actually bump and take stuff out of. I mean, these people are getting smart, unfortunately. They're not doing it by themselves. They're doing it in teams to where it's very easy to, disrupt or, kind of make you not really pay attention to what's going on. It's crazy to think that that's a thing. That anybody who goes to a show, whether it's National next year or any future card show, that you really have to start figuring out additional ways to protect your stuff.
Well, that sucks.
Oh, damn.
I was unaware of that.
Yeah, that sucks. And see, you can't put a monetary value on something like that either because, The National is also known for those who have been in the community for a long period of time. It's the yearly get together for a lot of YouTubers to catch up in real life, in person, catch up, chit chat. And there's a lot of gift giving that takes place in person at the National. It's been a tradition for as long as I can remember as it pertains to, the National itself. And to have, I'm willing to bet you probably would be less pissed off if it was something that maybe you bought for X number of dollars than to have something like that stolen for, that was a gift. That sucks. That really sucks. And it pisses me off.
That's probably the one way to go besides the Pelican case.
Or having locks on your backpack, it just, then here's the issue. Nobody should have to go to that extreme to protect their crap. And, it's one of those in which you have too many people who are looking for an easy way out. And this is a quick, easy way for people to make a quick buck because they have nothing in something to be able to flip. It's unfortunate, and I hope all of them get caught and they all get what they deserve, because with the values increasing the way that they are, a lot of these people are going to be dealing with felonies, which means they have ruined their life. And I don't feel sorry for them. I would love to be able to come across them and laugh in their face and be like, you know what, you deserve what you have coming to you. And that may be harsh, but that pisses me off. And that's coming from not having somebody steal something from me at a show. I had people that I considered friends when I was younger steal cards from me, that I never knew about it until my best friend got a guilty conscience and ended up telling me about it and giving me the stuff that he took back to me. And I never got the stuff back from the other two people that I thought were my friends. And that's back in middle school. And cards were, a few dollars back in those days. It still is a bunch of crap. And nobody should ever have to experience somebody stealing something from you, whether it be something that you purchased, something that you took, or, most notably a gift, because that hurts more than anything, I would say.
Yeah.
You were talking about felonies. I believe that Numbskull at the Dallas show, who stole the Luca, I believe he got hit with either a class 1 or class 2 felony, because the Luca that he stole was, I believe, valued at $10,000. And he was the dealers were on. I actually was talking to someone that went to the Dallas show and saw a lot of that transpire. So it was interesting to hear from that person about what went down. Apparently, I think the card was valued at like $10,000. It got stolen. The guy came back the next day and was trying to sell it for like $2,000, and the dealer's like, "Why is he selling a $10,000 card for $2,000? That doesn't make any sense." And then they looked into it, and then the guy got arrested.
And there's a Mahomes shield still missing from that show, last I heard, unless somebody's come across an update.
The Dallas show or the National?
Yep. No, the Dallas show. It was a Mahomes 101 NFL logo shield.
Well,
that was stolen also.
I mean, you're not going to be able to sell that.
No.
Yeah.
No, there's not a chance in hell, because you put it online, somebody's going to see it. You try and go to a shop, because a lot of the shops are now on social media and things along those lines. It's going to come back somehow, shape, form, or fashion, and the individual will get caught.
And even if the dumbass waits like, oh, I'll wait like 5 years, it doesn't matter. People don't forget in the hobby. We don't forget.
No.
How were your feet after wearing comfortable shoes on that floor?
Actually, not bad, surprisingly. I bought brand new shoes going out there. I brought brand new Nike running shoes before heading out there. It wasn't the feet. It was more of my my legs. my legs felt tired. I felt like I had dead leg after a little while. The one day I did the Thursday I did 15,000 steps, which is like almost 8 miles. And then the other day, I mean, I hit 10,000 steps every day. So that's 5 miles or more. Because I did wear my Fitbit because I was like, I want to see how many steps I'm taking in this place. And Thursday and Friday, though, were unbearably hot. Like, it was unbearably hot in there. Like, I went with the intention to wear my mask. And I wore my mask for maybe about like an hour to an hour and a half walking around. And I was just dripping sweat into the mask. I'm like, okay, my mask is soaking wet. Like, this is ridiculous. I'm vaccinated. I'm just going to take the mask off. So there was actually, believe it or not, you're not going to hear this anywhere else. There was fire rescue there every day at the National, taking somebody out on a stretcher for heat exhaustion every day. You got older guys there. You have older, you got some guys in their 60s and their 70s there who are going around maybe looking to do sets, or they're card collectors too. And, it's so friggin' hot in there, and they're not properly hydrated. They're not drinking enough water. Some of these guys maybe even go out the night before and have a couple drinks. So you're even more dehydrated if you're not drinking water. Every day I saw fire rescue take out one person. Never seen that before. Never at a National. Never seen that before.
Yeah, that's crazy. But then again, if they were struggling to keep the place cool because of the excess number of people, then I could definitely see that, if the air conditioner isn't working at top notch, you got, a buttload of people, that creates body heat, which also increases the humidity when you start dealing with, people sweating and everything else. That's crazy.
I should have mentioned this earlier when talking about dealers and negotiating. But the guy I bought, I don't know if you saw it in the recap video, I bought a Trout Finest, 95 Finest Retro Trout Finest PSA 10. And I found that dealer at the end of Thursday. I pretty much stayed till 6 every time. I was like one of the last people to leave there because I found later, past like 4 o'clock, it did empty out. Like, people were there in the morning, and then come 4 or 5 o'clock, people were leaving. But anyway, I run into this dealer, and he had a pretty cool card. This guy, when I say strung out, this dealer was strung the fuck out. He was not in any mood. He was hot, he was tired, and he wanted to get the fuck out of there. And he was not a happy camper, which is strange to me because you think he would be happy, and it looked like he sold a lot of cards. I mean, shit, the amount of the stack of money he pulled out looked like he had an amazing day. So you think he would have been, in a good mood. So I'm talking to this guy, and I'm like, hey, what's your best price on this trout? He's like, $60. I have it for $75. Just get it the fuck out of here. He's like, I'm tired. I want to go home. I was like, I've never seen a dealer interact that way before. I was like, holy shit. And I forget, I was with somebody. I might have been with Stove. I can't remember, but I was with somebody, and they're like, isn't the point of setting up at the show to make money? Why is he in such a foul mood? So I give the guy the money, and I was just like, I hope you have a great show. And he's like, great show. He's like, there's too many people here. It's too hot. This place sucks. There's nothing to eat. There's nothing to drink. I'm sweating my ass off. This is not what I signed up for. There's no breeze here. They gave us a shitty location. I'm like, so I said to the guy, I was like, well, it looks like you're doing good, though. I see a lot of empty spots here in the showcase. He's like, yeah, we're doing good. Hopefully we do good enough to where we can leave by Saturday. So I was like, oh, okay. But I just thought that was bizarre because I'm like, you want more people here, man. Like, that's your customer base. Like, liquidate your shit, my man. Like, make money, do good. Like, I want you to do. Like, I want all the dealers to do good, so they keep doing the shows. But this guy was not having it. He was strung out, man. I don't know what happened to him during the course of that Wednesday or Thursday, but this guy, he was hot, he was hungry, and he was not in a good mood. He was mad.
Maybe you should have brought the guy a hamburger, man, or something,
or Gatorade or something. He was only wearing a t-shirt. He had a t-shirt, a hat on, and just shorts. I'm assuming he had a regular shirt on. He probably took it off. I will say that area where he was set up, there was no breeze. Like, there was no air. It was hot as shit in that part of the convention center, because there were certain pockets of the convention center where there just wasn't no air coming on. It was just it's like you walk into a wall of humidity. And it's just like, what? That's why everyone was congregating on the carpet in the red carpet area, because the red carpet spot was cool. It was like a 10 to 15 degree difference between that part of the convention center and other spots. It was weird. It was bizarre.
So note to self: bring fan next time you go to the National in Chicago. In the event that you get placed in the same space. So we've touched on quite a bit. We know you went to the Cubs game. So you were there with Michael, because both of y'all somewhat had some of the same footage as it pertained to the Cubs game specifically. Let's talk about the food. So we know you went to have some pizza. We know you went to Portillo's, I think is what it was,
that was so good.
for lunch. And what's interesting is, of course, Vinny brought it up in the group text, and lo and behold, here comes the picture from Ed, and it's the picture of the sign, right? So talk about the food.
The food was amazing. I went to Portillo's twice. I'm really kicking myself in the ass because the Lyft driver, he said, get the chocolate cake. He's like, that is what they're known for. And I didn't buy the chocolate cake. I don't know why I didn't buy the chocolate cake. I didn't buy it though. I went there twice. They were promoting a spicy chicken sandwich. It looked massive. It looked huge. And I'm sorry I didn't buy it. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't buy it. I got the Chicago dog, the Polish street dog. I got the one day I got like a bacon burger. Like the one time I went there, I must have bought like 5 or 6 things just to try everything. And like most of it I didn't eat because I was like, okay, I'm filled. I'm not going to gorge myself here. But the food with that Portillo's was amazing. And I know they're more of like a fast food chain out in Chicago. I was just like, this stuff's amazing. It was really good. Giordano's was really good too. I wanted to try to go to a different deep dish place, but it was tough. The Lyft and the Uber prices were just murder.
Oh, sure.
You would have been better off renting a car, in all honesty. The Lyft and Uber prices with Lollapalooza there, and my Lyft driver told me there was a huge state fair going on, which was also causing a lot of drivers to go way north of the city. He's like, so whatever you're going to, you're going to be paying the top of what the algorithm gives you. He's like, I'm just giving you a friendly heads up. So I did have some really cool Lyft and Uber drivers, but the prices, like the Portillo's that we went to, was only a mile and a half from the pickup spot of the hotel, and it was like close to $20. I'm like, dude, we're not even going far. And then Giordano's was like 22 just to get there, not round trip. So it's like, because I wanted to go to a couple of record shops actually out there, because I know Chicago has a lot of good vinyl record shops. I put that in my thing and it was like $45. I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. That's not happening. I'd rather buy something from the show. So if it wasn't in the Rosemont vicinity, if it wasn't close, we didn't go. I really wanted to try some kid got Uber Eats of this like chicken tender place. I forget what it's called. He said it's a chain in Texas. They're really big in Texas. So I don't know if Steve, you know it. But it was
Canes?
Yes, Canes. That's what it's called.
Raising Canes.
Have you ever had that?
I have. I mean, it's good, but
He said
it's
real good. It looked good.
Everybody loves the cane sauce. I'm not a fan of it personally. I'm a ranch guy, so it's good. That's their specialty. That's all you get there type situation. It's not one of those in which I'm gonna sit there and generate some raving review. I mean, they're good. I have nothing against them. They're good, but at the same time, to me, you got to be in the mood for like chicken fingers, chicken strips. I mean, you got to be in the mood for it. That's not something that I normally think about. I give me a freaking burger. Give me a chicken sandwich.
That sauce, their special sauce, is sort of like the Chick-fil-A. It's on par with sort of that. I mean, a little tinge of a difference, but I mean, it is. When Tristan and I were down in the cities, when we brought back the camper last June, I think, from one of the trips to the ranch, we went there and we got a big, like a 24 or 25, like comes in the big tin foil or the big aluminum foil, like the roasting pan. I was just gorging myself. I mean, I know it's a shock to all that have seen pictures of the widescreen pictures that I would gorge myself on chicken fingers, but the tenders or whatever they want to call them, oh my God, it's so good. Just one of the guys in the ChiTown, which is a sports radio stuff out of Minneapolis, he's just like, that's all I want to eat is Raising Cane's. That's all I want to have is Raising Cane's. Just if I could get a sponsorship from them and get rid of all my other things that I have to sponsor on the show, I would do that in a heartbeat. I just want Raising Cane's, and that's it forever.
I asked what her name is, so we'll see if Mark shares it.
Tell her to watch the show, Mark. I mean,
yeah, that'll put her to sleep. Just watch us for a few minutes. We got you covered, man.
Mark, me and Mark walked around the convention the one whole day, and every time we were walking around, there was a lot of Insta bros there at the show, obviously. And after every semi-big purchase that they were doing, they would go, "Let's go! Let's go!" all the time. So me and Mark are walking around, and we hear that maybe for like the 8th or 9th time, and it was funny the first few times, but now it's getting somewhat annoying. So Mark had a bunch of we walked by this one vintage dealer, and he had just binders and binders of cards, like vintage sets, and he wanted to pick up some 68 commons for his set. So I'm like, oh shit. I sit down. He picks out his commons. I think he bought about like 10 or 15 cards. So after he buys them, he gets up, hands the dealer the money. Let's go! Let's go! I was just
what you guys should have done. What you guys should have done is kind of go into the area and be like, let's go! Get something to eat!
I'm like, Mark, you truly are worthy of that Hall of Fame patch.
Ed, not so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, as you know, Ed, you've been put on the list with Bob on the impeachment list.
It's Chair number 1, Bob number 2, me number 3.
Chair has to get his patch first before he can be on the impeachment list. And I would find it very hard to challenge Chair's entry into the YouTube Hall of Fame because it's Chair. I mean, he's infamous.
He's controversial.
That too, but infamous. I mean, he makes his presence known every time Bob Lewis makes a presence on any podcast. Chair is always there at some point in time, in all his glory.
Mark started randomly taking pictures of me during the national. He's like, I'm gonna do a collage of all these pictures of you. And one of the more stranger things that happened at the national was at the one meetup, the baseball collector meetup and the Those Back Pages meetup. They had the area where they were at was on the second floor. So the first floor was the bar and the restaurant.
Okay.
Mark's going to know where I'm going with this. So I go down. Everyone's getting their drinks and stuff. I'm like, I'm a little bit hungry. Maybe I'll get something from the restaurant. Let me look at the menu. So I wind up getting like just a regular cheeseburger that they had there. It's pretty good, by the way. And I'm eating the cheeseburger. And all of a sudden, like 10 to 12 people congregate right at my table, and all of them encircle the table, all watching me eat. It was really, really bizarre. And all of them knew me. I mean, they weren't strangers. I mean, I knew who they were. So the funny part was Eric Those Back Pages comes down. I think he was getting a drink. He comes over. He's like, why the fuck are you all watching Eddie? Leave the man alone. Let him eat. And Mark was there. And he did take a picture of it. But the picture doesn't do it justice. I seen the picture that he posted. You always see like 3 or 4 people. There was way more than that. So that was an interesting moment, to say the least, I guess.
Taking in the spectacle of Ed Cryptogriff / Crypto Grifter engaging in eating a cheeseburger. That should be that should be somebody needs to come up with a meme. Just saying.
It was bizarre.
Yeah, how was the game, by the way?
The game was really, really good. The Cup, that was actually the last game that Anthony Rizzo, Javier Baez, and Chris Bryant played for the Cubs at Wrigley. That was their final game as a Cub, unless they get traded later in their career or sign later in their career to play for the Cubs. But right now, that's their final games as a Cub, and I didn't see that coming when I decided to go to the game. The actual Wrigley Field is awesome. It's fantastic. It does not feel like a 100-plus-year-old stadium. It had a modern feel to it.
Except the urinals.
I didn't go in the bathroom. I didn't check that out.
You would have felt like it was 1880 in there.
Oh, God.
Are they troughs? Are they like troughs?
Yeah. Right in the middle. So everybody's...
I thankfully did not have to go to the bathroom while I was there. The food selection there was pretty damn good. I got a Chicago dog there. It was good. My only gripe was the beer selection was really bad. I thought the beer selection kind of sucked. They only had Budweiser, like a couple light beers, some Goosehead IPAs, and they didn't have like a signature beer. Like most ballparks that I've been to have, like Citizens Bank Park, we have Yingling. I mean, that's kind of a local. That's the local beer. Camden Yards, the Orioles have Natty Boh. That's the local beer. I think the Indians have Great Lakes. That's the local beer. Like, I felt like there was no, like, I'm like, Budweiser's not a local beer to Chicago. They're in St. Louis. So that was my only gripe. The beer selection I thought was pretty weak. But other than that, great stadium, beautiful, just really fun time. I'm glad I went.
What was that, Dave?
Super solid seats, I thought. Somewhat behind home plate, a little angled off, but still, I mean, there isn't really a bad place in the house. You've got a pretty good view.
I also say the seats were comfortable, which I know people who've gone to Red Sox games. They're like, the seats are terrible. You feel like there's no room, and the aisles are like you have to climb over people. Definitely didn't have that at Wrigley. The aisles were quite large, I thought, for most baseball parks, and the seats were well adjusted. The beer of choice is old. Yeah, the beer at Wrigley was not good.
Well, I guess I'm going to have to make it a job to actually go to the new Ranger Stadium and see if they actually have anything of significance. I've been to a few of the Frisco Rough Rider games, and they have quite a few. You can call them beer vendors, but they're like individual, like little pop-up stands type thing, and they've got a lot of microbreweries that set up there. So I mean, I've engaged in a few taste tests related to some of the local microbreweries in the area at the Rough Riders game, but it's been so long since I've been to a Rangers game, I couldn't even tell you. Now, on the football front, if anybody wants to go check out Jerry World, you're going to be even more disappointed because the only beer you can get is Miller Lite. That's it. There is no other choice. You want beer, it's Miller Lite. There is nothing else. That is it. Nothing else. So
I've known people that have been to that stadium, Jerry's World, and everyone that has went there has told me it's like walking in a mall. It's like a super mall with a football field in there, and I don't know if that's accurate or not. So
I don't know if I'd call it that. It is extremely vast, but I would have never put that as a way of describing the overall feel of it at all. But that's me personally. I mean, that's because I've been to the old, Texas Stadium, and then of course I've been to Jerry's World. So it's I've experienced both aspects of it, and I would never come up with that descriptive type word or use that as a descriptive nomenclature for Jerry World. I know it's been a while. Last show, I think I missed it. And I was only on for an hour the week before that. So, of course, it wasn't mentioned. So I had to make sure I got it in somewhere. With that, welcome, Brad.
Hello.
It's good to see you. You pointed wrong. Fix your finger right there, Ed.
That's why I pulled it down quickly.
It happens. It's all opposite. And, Dave has gotten really good with it, though, normally. But welcome, Brad. It's good to see you again. Ed has provided quite a bit of information related to his specific experience this year. So pretty much we'll let the chat come up with any potential questions from their perspective. We don't have any questions at this point in time. But okay, but we'll let Dave ask his question. But other than that, you pretty much have the floor to just kind of let it all fly. So,
how
Dave,
does it feel to now have a Patreon with about 5,000 subscribers and your YouTube channel go from like a middling, the OG, that just sort of the undercurrent, to now you're going to have fancy editing, catchphrases, hashtag invest. How does that feel, Brad? Because it was sort of prognosticated last week. Maybe somebody would bump into somebody. Lo and behold, 2 appearances, and one where you thought that the interview would be on the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
I think it got diced a little, but at the same time, it was in there a good chunk of.
Yeah, he didn't do the after 2 part, but he did get the 2 part in there. I was impressed. But, honestly, now that I am a big star, I think this will be the last time I join this podcast for sure.
yeah, we're going to have to start paying him, Dave.
But, I don't know about you, Ed, but I didn't really think there were that many cameras there. Now they use the selfie sticks, but I didn't notice more than like 10.
Yes, I completely agree with that.
Yeah, there wasn't like you thought every aisle you go down, there's going to be someone,
Yes.
with his entourage. It was not like that. It
No.
really was. He by far did the most coverage, I think. I saw him the most, where he actually walked around. The rest of them were more stationary, it seemed like, if they did have cameras. So those guys were not annoying. So
That's a very good point, Brad. I forgot to mention that as well. Yeah, we joked about that on here and many a times in either group chats or on our own channels how there was going to be camera crews out the wazoo, and sure enough there really wasn't that many. In fact I think there was more at the Philly show that I saw than was at the National, which is shocking. The only one that I did not run into Mojo, so I didn't see him. I didn't have the pleasure.
I felt like the guy was seeking me out, man. I ain't even gonna lie.
He might have been. He might have been. I mean, he wanted to get the football oracle's knowledge.
But the question is though, how much time did you spend though in like the corporate sponsor area? Because
I did run into two.
There was a reason why I posed the question though, Ed, because you had Golden, you had, Panini, you had Topps, you had all of that stuff. And, Golden was involved in a ton of interviews. You had Sports Card Live over there, and there was a lot of what seemed to be interviews going on from a broadcast perspective. So I would have expected more cameras in that area because of like the interviews and things along those lines for those respective, whether it be manufacturers, whether it be slab stocks or
Card ladder,
auctions, card ladder, whatever. I could have expected to see more in that area outside of those like physically walking the showroom floor.
Yeah, like I had people like Brad. Didn't you hear people say how HBO Max was there or Netflix was going to be there? I didn't see any of that.
The only thing I saw was a microphone, and it was like a mini one with Fox. So I'm guessing it was the local Fox, would be my guess.
Maybe.
But that's the only thing I ever saw in terms of media. Somebody said ESPN was there, but
there's I can't remember. He looks like an Indian, like one of the Sports Center broadcasters. He was there because I think your boy or somebody got him. Maybe the Hello Investors guy got him on. And I've watched and consumed a lot. So, I mean, if it's out there and it says National 2021 or NSCC 2021, I've probably watched it in the last 5 days. There was him, I think Darren Ravel. I know he was like an ESPN guy a while back. He was there at a booth with like his ticket collection.
I did see Darren Ravel, yes.
And then there was somebody else. There's like an Adam Lesko. I don't know what he does, but I know that was a name that people are excited to see. And I'm like, I don't know. But I mean, I know the HBO, that was where Joey brought you to a specific booth to get a specific card that you were looking for, that there was a little wiggle room on. That guy there, they would have been with him.
Okay.
He's Nathan from Burns from Grand Slam Collectibles. That he's built himself.
The guy
up.
that wouldn't budge off. Joey got it to go down lower, but still not to my
liking.
Yes, because I already felt like I was paying top dollar at my number. I was already compromising.
Yeah.
So that's why there was not going to be $1 more there. But it was nice.
Well, that's the thing too. You had mentioned, I think, in your video that you came up, or you thought you were in a good spot. You've had it here for X amount of days. Obviously, it's not moving, so let's generate a sale. You get the money, you get something to move out, and you can do whatever you want with those. Again, he's making some. He bought, I think, from the baseball card exchange, the wax. He bought a sealed box of 86, 87 Fleer for $165. So, and I mean, he plopped the cash down on, which I was talking with the gourmet guy at work today. He's like, I don't want to see that. But I'm like, at the same time, I don't either. But I know when you see that as just sort of a random dude or somebody new into the hobby, you're thinking, man, he's making moves. Making moves. And I'm like, I get that part. I do get that. That's obviously to get viewership. That's obviously to throw out some exclamation points. I get that. You're going to get people in and start watching you, consuming your brand. And that's, again, what it's going to be about now. A lot of that revenue comes from people like flexing up. So I get that. But I mean, at the same time, it's like you're wearing your friend's shit. You're not just some schlub that's, I'm going to invest in Merino. #invest. No, nobody's. Everybody likes Merino. That's from that era. Even me with my adult diapers comments, I still have some Merino stuff that I like. But at the same time, you're not expecting it to go up tenfold. There's nothing that's going to happen. Unless, I mean, he like does advertisement work for Depends or something. That's the only thing.
Or another Ace Ventura movie.
Well, let's hope Jim Carrey's not in that. One was or two were enough. So. But I digress. The floor is now yours, Brad. Have any observations that you see? Well,
1 second. So Mark has a question for Ed, and I can't tell if Ed's frozen or not.
No,
Because he's got because you like had the same look on your face.
Well, I kept thinking, I'm like, what is he talking about? And then it hit me. It hit me like a truck.
Twice.
When we were walking, looking at showcases, I walked into a chemical of mass destruction. I walked into it, and there was only one other person. There was me, Mark, and one other person. So I shot Mark a look. I said, "Hey, Mark, was that you?" Mark's like, "No, what are you talking about?" I'm like, so then my glaze went straight to the other guy, and he had his head down. He just had his head down. I am not exaggerated. It smelled like rotten flesh. Like rotten flesh. Like a decayed body. I ran. I did not walk. I ran to the other side, and Mark's like, what? Where the fuck are you going? So then Mark took a couple more steps, and he walked into the chemicals of mass destruction. And Mark's like, what the fuck is that? What is that? I'm like, Mark, that's what I was trying to tell you, man. Get out of here. We're going to die. This is like the fucking Delta variant is all up around us. Let's get out of here. And sure enough, the guy kept looking down. He looked over at both of us because we were being very loud and kind of obnoxious. And he knew he shit himself there at the convention center floor. It was bad. It was the most. It was bad. It was like rotten flesh. Thankfully, that was my only interaction with the weapons of mass destruction in Rosemont. But it was bad. It was bad. I'm like, stay far away. Hose that guy down with a fire hose or something. It was bad.
So we go from shitting yourself. Okay. So Brad, now the floor is officially yours.
How do you follow that?
I was gonna say, how do you follow that? But it's the floor is yours.
Okay.
Joey, it was not crop dusting. He put crop dusting was a normal thing in the show. Crop dusting's one thing. To fucking launch a chemical weapon onto the floor where like you literally would dry heave because it smells that fucking bad. That's another thing. Like this dude smelled like he had bowel cancer. That's how bad that was.
Bowel cancer. Okay.
Sorry. Mark brought back some strong PTSD with that comment.
Okay.
Off you go, Brad.
Yeah, Brad's like, what the hell do I say to that?
Yeah, what are we even talking about? Anybody have a question?
Before we do get any further, I did make mention, early on in the show, right when we went live. Big shout out to you. Thank you again for brokering that deal for me. I really do appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to adding that one to the collection for sure. So appreciate you.
Yeah, Joey could attest to this. I think the most fun we had was on Saturday, and we weren't even like looking stuff for us. That was like the day I looked for like people who gave me lists, because Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I looked at everything. So I found Saturday. I think we probably had the most fun walking the show. Me and him walked the show probably together half the day, and that was probably the most fun we had at the show, wasn't it, Joey? I'd say it was just chill. You weren't going really fast. We were just talking, looking at cards. Like, hey, X and X might like that. We probably messaged 10 different people that day, So that was actually like a really good time because you didn't have really like an agenda for yourself. You were just chilling, walking the floor. If you couldn't get in, to a table, you're like, oh, well, But yeah, that was the most fun. I think that was probably the funnest day to be at the show, to be honest with you.
Now,
And
Brad,
I picked up nothing.
I heard I have my experience and then what I've heard from other people, but I heard Saturday was the busiest day, and I totally disagree with that.
No. People are high. I don't even think it's close. Thursday and Friday were the busiest days.
Okay, yeah, we agree with that.
I could walk around on Saturday without hitting somebody.
Were you there in the morning, though?
Yeah, I was there like 10:40,
Okay.
10:45, so shortly after the show opened.
Yeah, I had a couple of people tell me that Saturday they couldn't move. And I was like, were you there in the morning? And they were like, yeah. Now, I got there late Saturday.
Yeah, it did slow at 2.
I thought it was pretty empty.
Yeah, 2 on got really slow. But still, Thursday, Friday, I'm sure if the numbers come out, Friday was probably the best day.
Yeah,
Probably.
Thursday,
Friday were definitely, those were the days where you were going to be next to somebody all the time. Unless you went up against the wall,
It was a total change from years past, though, because normally, Brad, like Wednesday is really quiet. Thursday's usually very quiet. Friday's usually pretty busy. And then Saturday is crazy. So that wasn't the case this year. I feel like the weekend days were.
I feel like being a newbie almost helped me because I didn't have anything to compare it to, so I wasn't like irritated. You know what I mean? Like, it's never like this, It was just, hey, this is all I know,
Yeah.
So I think it was almost beneficial for me, the fact I didn't have I knew it was going to be busy, and I didn't have a preconceived notion of what it should be. So I just it was more go with the flow. So I think that helped me from like an attitude standpoint of just being like, hey, whatever,
Did you come home with anything on your list of cards that you were seeking out?
The Zonka. It was actually one grade higher than I wrote down. But yes, that was.
I haven't caught any videos, so and that's the reason why I'm asking the question. I know Ed posted a lot of his recaps, and I know you've posted yours. And, I have every intention of definitely checking them out. But, last week's show, you had mentioned you have like a small, quote unquote, bulleted list of what you were kind of looking for.
Yeah.
So only one? So only one specifically?
Only one actually that was specifically on that list got crossed off. And that was the Zonka rookie.
I'm going to pose the same question as I did for Ed. Since, Ed was able to make his big trade. He got his Trout. Based on that, and I know you picked up other stuff. I know that's not the only card that you picked up by any stretch of the imagination. In your opinion, with at least adding one big card that you were seeking out specifically, would you consider the show an overall success from your standpoint, though, as well?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. I was very pleased. That's why, to me, Saturday was like the no pressure day. Was if I go get that card that was honestly over my budget anyways, that's why it was like, I got a number, that's it. But because it was rare, I was willing to go over it. But yeah, that's why Saturday to me was like a bonus from a card standpoint, you know. So yeah, I was very satisfied because, like I told you, I didn't want to come home with a bunch of cards. You know, I was fine, you know, a card a day. That was cool with me, you know. So yeah, I was very pleased.
Did you get to experience any of the food like Ed did, or did you kind of stay?
I did not eat any of the food at the convention center. So
Well, neither did Ed.
Oh, yeah.
Neither did Ed.
Okay.
So this was all outside restaurants. He went to Giordano's. He went to Portello's. So did you get to experience any of the local cuisine, or did you kind of?
Nowhere did I go was special though. Nothing memorable. The best place I probably went was Shoeless Joe's. It's just past the Lowe's Hotel. I went down there because we were meeting at Lowe's Friday. So I was like, oh, I'll be down that way. So I went to Shoeless Joe's restaurant. That was pretty good. That was probably the best restaurant I went to.
I definitely cringed every time I walked by the vendors inside the convention center, and the lines were just super long.
Yeah, I couldn't believe that because you heard everyone say, don't buy the food there, right?
Yes.
Now, you knew there was going to be people that did. But yeah, I would say from probably 11 to 4 o'clock.
Yeah.
Constant, like lines back up to the cases. Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if it was me, but I thought that food smelled horrible. Like it smelled like day old pizza, like frozen pretzels. I'm like, why are people buying this crap? But I guess if you're hungry, you're hungry.
I meant to take a picture of the prices. I forgot to do that.
Oh,
Because everybody was wondering, oh, yeah, I knew it was expensive, but I wanted to get people the prices just to give them an idea, and I forgot to take a picture of it. Fail.
The only food item I bought in there was on Friday. Filmington was telling me Filmington and Andy were telling me the one bartender in the corner at the front has a very heavy hand when making drinks. So if you want to get a good drink, go to him. And I'm just like, ugh. So I go over, and I think the price of beer was $10 and a mixed drink was $11. So I'm like, I'll get a mixed drink. So I wind up getting a Jack and Coke, and they were right. That dude had a heavy hand. It was like a double. I was just like, oh, well, this is worth it.
Now, out of the YouTubers / maybe some of the guys you know on Instagram or gals or on Facebook or whatever, Brad, this will be more geared towards you because I know, Ed, you've met a lot of folks before, but still open-ended question for both of you. 2 parts. Somebody you were stoked to meet and they met your sort of expectations or went above your expectations. And of course, since we're the negative podcast amongst all the toilet flower, unicorn, rainbow bullshit out there, somebody that you're like, okay, I'm even if you're not stoked to meet him, you're like, I wouldn't mind meeting this person, and there was sort of a thud, falling flat on the face. And if you want to name names, go ahead.
Well,
nobody's gonna watch this afterwards anyway. And
and I don't care. That's why you had me on here, right? No. So Joey was probably that was one of those, if I had to bet someone $100 that we would get along, that would be the one I would bet. And we did. Mm-hmm. I would say that was probably my show buddy. We were like show brothers. Mm-hmm. I already knew I'd get along with like Ed, Mike, and all them. And I did. The guy that surprised me in a good way, we'll start the good way. Bob Barth, love talking to that guy. I could talk to that guy all day. Like, just great personality, knowledgeable about any sport you want to talk about. He surprised me in the good way the most. He's not much on YouTube anymore, but that guy, some people might think he's like uppity, or some people thought he was a jerk. I've heard that from people before. Literally, I would say he surprised me the most in a good way. Like, amazing dude. Like, I definitely have to meet that guy again. Like, I'm sure, I know, Ed, you were talking to him one day, like, for a while.
Yeah, Bob's from my area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he lives in South Jersey. He's actually the one that took us up to White Plains to meet Ricky Russo a couple of years ago, and he sets up at a couple shows here or there. He hasn't done the Philly show in a while, so that's why I was kind of asking him. I was like, dude, please do the Philly show again. I was because like I think the last time he did the Philly show, he got wiped out. Like all his stuff got wiped out. I think by like Saturday afternoon. I'm like, dude, do the Philly show again, please.
Yeah. Now on the negative side, nothing surprised me. By the way, I did not have a surprise bet. Oh yeah, timeout. Go ahead.
Timeout. Dave, check the comments.
Ooh, Foxy.
I got to meet him finally. Yeah.
That's the one that's on my list because I don't think I met him in 11.
There you go.
That's I love Jason. Jason, how are you, my good friend? Our good friend.
Yeah, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Brad. It was one of those I saw
sure.
pop up, and I'm like, okay, yep. we have to pause for a second.
That was a TV timeout we had to take.
Yes, absolutely. That's the blast from the past. OG of OGs. It's good to see you. Thanks for stopping in. He's one that I've had on my list that I would have loved to meet at some point in time, just because the personality just goes without saying. So,
yeah, I was hoping to see him after the show. I met him at the show. Just happened because they're, like I said, you just run into each other. You don't. There's no finding people in there. You know what I mean? Unless you plan it ahead of time. Meet me at X. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we talked probably 10 minutes in the middle of the aisle there, and he did seem cool as hell. So I was surprised he actually watched my stuff. I wasn't sure because I kind of came along after he quit making videos all the time. So I didn't know if he even knew me, and he didn't know if I knew him. So I was like, and we did. But yeah, you could tell he was a cool dude.
the OG crew though was a small circle though. If you really take that into consideration, we all knew of each other. We may not be on a first name basis,
Right.
but we were always in the same rooms, hanging out with the same people. You know, joining the same breaks. I mean, it's one of those in which I'm bad with names as it is. I can admit that. I always have been that way. It takes multiple times before I get a name right in the first place. So I don't expect people to know my name, and don't ever be offended if I can't remember yours. It's not that's just me. But that the OG crew, if you consider so like where it is now, it was a lot smaller. So we all knew of each other. Whether or not we interacted, we made deals, we talked, we did trades or anything, we still knew of everybody. So you still fit in that time frame, Brad, from back in those days. So
that overlap, and here's your
Right. It was an overlap. Like, right.
The other four, there's another. It's still that sliver that, okay, I see this dude commenting on your videos. Okay, I see this guy that comments on his videos that I don't know, not on yours either. That's over in blog in the chat room. Oh, now you start putting everything together, and you at least know of everyone.
Right.
And there's nobody that slips through the cracks. If you have some sort of grouping, which is always nice.
we're live every Tuesday night at 7:05 Central Standard Time. Sometimes we have guests, sometimes we don't. But we are always here on Tuesday night. So
Yeah, they
just
won't always
throwing that
have
out there.
guests that look this good, you know.
Yeah, this is true. Luckily, you guys got dim lighting, so you
So
can't.
let's see, where were we at? The good and bad people, right?
Yes,
Oh, so
you brought up the good, so now you were getting ready to
Okay,
bring
and
up
now
the
I
bad.
need a bad. Okay. Some of the baseball guys. Now, like I said, this is why it didn't surprise me. Like they knew of like the screen name, I think, but they were very standoffish for me. Like Kin's Cardboard, even Eric, those back pages was pretty standoffish with me. Baseball collector. Those guys, pretty. I mean, you know, they said hi. They were not mean. They were not, you know. But yeah, they were not like really wanted to seem like they wanted to drum up a conversation, I would say. From the get-togethers we had, you know, it was a fist bump or handshake and see you later. You know? So there was a few of those guys that hung out. didn't, but I didn't expect to. So it didn't surprise me. I didn't expect, so it wasn't a bad experience. But a couple other surprises. Mike Canadian Cards. I just recently found him the last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's another amazing guy to talk to.
He was hilarious.
Yeah, he is.
He was
And
hilarious.
Andy, she blinded me with refractors. Another just amazing guy. Like, that I didn't really know. Like, you watch their stuff but never talked to. Those were two other good surprises that surprised me a little bit.
So Ed, your take. If you want to talk about it, I mean, you don't have to.
I mostly met everyone prior. There was only like a handful of new people that I met for the first time. So I would say Mr. Brad. It was awesome to finally meet him. One of the highlights of the show to finally meet Brad, because I've been watching Brad for a decade now.
Yeah.
That was awesome. Canadian Cards, Mike. He was funny as shit. He had me rolling. Some of the stuff he was saying. I told him he had to make a national parody video with Garrett again. That would just be great. Other than that, most of all the people. Oh, Rick, Vintage Oddball Cards.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He was a new guy that. Well, he's a person that I met for the first time. So it was awesome talking to him as well. I think everyone else though I've met before. I'm pretty sure everyone else I met before, either in 2019, 2018, or 2016. I know I talked to Mike Druga a little bit, MD Pitt 21, and I haven't seen him since Cleveland, so it's that was a while since I saw him. People that I didn't like, I guess, or that I didn't have a good reaction to.
Go.
Nobody. I mean, nobody in the community certainly no.
Right.
I would say I did bump into Mr. Sport Card Investor, and I mean, I'm not subscribed to him. I don't watch his videos except for clips that get sent to me. But watching him preform for the camera, that was something, I guess. But I wanted to not stick around and watch that show. So I guess maybe that's the only negative I can think of. But other than that,
Is Ed being reserved here? I mean, I'm you have all the
and I at least named some names.
You have all the opportunity in the world to just like say what you really want to say. I mean, come on, that's what we do here.
Daps Man, did you meet Daps Man?
I did not. Dude, I'm telling you, I really did not bump into too many. I think I told Brad this at one of the parties. I really did not bump into any of the YouTubers on the show floor while walking around. Like, I think I only saw Eric there once. I bumped into Brad the one day and we palled around.
Right.
Bumped into Mark the one day and we walked around. Like Go a couple times. But, dude, it was tough seeing people on the floor. I think the only other ones I saw on the floor was I saw Nolan Alico 3. He was in the middle of a deal. I just patted him on the back. I was walking by, and that was about it. I told Carlos this story. I remember who the other person is now, Carlos. Any brief encounters with the hobby icon Jeremy Lee had? I was talking to Nolan at the Lowe's Hotel, and I was asking him about a card that he was selling. And we were pretty much like almost finalizing a deal to be made. And Filmington was standing next to me when Jeremy Lee came by, and he must have been doing like Instagram Live or some shit like that. And he just puts the camera right in front of Nolan's face. He's like, "This is Alico 3, everyone, Nolan." And I'm like, dude, I'm in the middle of a conversation here. And then he's like, "Oh, Filmington." And he puts the camera right in Filmington's face, like, "Filmington, right here, Filmington." And then he turns to me because it's like a triangle here of conversation. He turns to me, looks at me, goes like this, looks at me again, and just continues walking. I got big leagued. I thought that was awesome. I'm like, dude, this is a national highlight. I just got big league. This dude doesn't even know who the hell I am,
Yeah.
which maybe might be a good thing. Or
You are in the YouTube Hall of Fame, good sir, and he just a peasant. He treated you as a peasant.
I was a peasant in the gallery. That YouTube Hall of Fame patch that
Nothing.
did nothing. Did
So
nothing. No respect.
I gotta
No
ask the question:
respect.
how was Pepino?
Yeah, go ahead first.
I'll let Brad go first. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm telling you, I think it's a little overrated in terms of how crazy people say he is. Like, he does like crazy stuff, like he had to sign his underwear, stuff like that. But in terms of just being like loud and obnoxious all the time, he was not like that. I saw him multiple times at the show and the after parties, and he was actually fairly chill. Now he'll conversate with you. He's outgoing, but never. I thought maybe he'd be a small dose guy, but no, I could hang out with him for a while and be fine. I actually thought that was maybe he's a little overblown, not quite what he is in his videos. I would say, that's crazy.
Just a teeny bit on the videos.
Yeah,
Pepino's real chill in person.
yeah.
I think he only gets like super excitable when he's at the show. I mean, sensory overload with all the cards. I will say I was shamed to sign the drawers. I did not want to sign the drawers.
How could you say no to him though?
Dude, I said no a couple times.
Right,
and like
he was like insistent.
And everyone signed them. Like everyone signed them. I think like 80 people signed them. And he's like, Ed, you're the only one that didn't sign them. What you got to sign them? I'm like, oh shit. Well, yeah, I'll sign it. So I did. So he told me he's going to frame them. He's like, I was going to frame them, but now the back. How am I going to show the back? I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know.
Cut them down one side and open them.
I guess so.
Problem solved.
Oh, Joey did not sign the underwear. Come on, all the cool kids were doing it, man.
Come on.
He says he could not.
Joey was the only holdout there.
So just going to throw it out there, Brad, Ed, anything else that you guys want to add as it pertains to the experience before we have Vinny join the broadcast and have Dave open a couple packages since we are coming up on the 2-hour mark?
I will say that after this national, I'm actually extremely optimistic overall about the hobby outlook, where I wasn't maybe as optimistic a couple weeks ago. But now, seeing what I saw, seeing all the young kids that were there, I thought that was really, really great. Like I said earlier, seeing more diversity, more women, more, Hispanic, Asian, African Americans there. I thought that was really, really cool. And just to see all the kids that were at the show, I thought was really great. And those trade nights, just to see the volume of people at these trade nights going to, 2 a.m. in a lot of cases was just, it really made me think about well, I know a lot of people are saying that, the hobby's going to, peter out or crater, or a huge crash has come in, or the junk slab error. A lot of people have been saying. I'm like, I don't know if we're on the Titanic right now. We didn't hit the iceberg, or I don't know what's going on. But all I know is what I saw this weekend, and what I saw was a lot of really great stuff. So I'm pretty optimistic about what I saw this weekend. So I thought it was great. And Brad, you can give your thoughts.
Yeah, I would agree with pretty much all of that. the thing that concerns me a little bit is I actually talked to a lot of these Lowe's kids, by the way, that big one that happened at Lowe's that everyone has video of. I was like, I actually want to talk to some of these people, you know. And only about 20% of the ones I talked to were collectors. Collected and flipped, because there's nothing wrong with doing both. But it concerns me if you're only in it for the money at that age, how long are you going to stay in it? Because not everything keeps going up, you know. So that's my only concern with that. But as he said, it wasn't just the teenagers, but there was way more women, and they weren't just there, you know, as a sell me, you know what I mean? They were there legitimately. They know what they're doing, part of the hobby. Same with, I did see actually more African Americans than I expected, which was good. And you did see kids with their dads, not just the Pelican case crew that you'll see on all the videos. So overall, yeah, I would say pretty good mixture. It is true what everyone says, that after the shows are the best part of everything. That is 100% true. And you hear that every year, and I was like, okay, I'll see for myself. It is true. After the show is the best stuff. Every night after the show was an absolute blast. So that part is true, folks, if you've never been.
I got two sort of quick questions. And I don't know how much the footage they've watched. And I cast the wide net, as I've said. Does it annoy you when the money isn't in order? Like you have the face and that it's the right way. I mean, everything comes. That's something that is huge OCD for me. Because, I mean, I'm seeing the hundreds come out and they're every which way. I just get, I literally get anxious seeing that. It's not bullshit. It's like, put your money in order. If you work hard for your money, I think I've said this on here before as well. If you work hard for your money, take care of your money, and when you pull it out of your wallet, make sure it's all the same way, because that tells that person you care about the money you make. I was told that by an old businessman here in Ely that had the Forest Hotel that burned down, but then he had a Bertine's, like a lounge parlor / restaurant. Very successful for a long time.
I will say I tend to put my money in all the same way in my wallet. But I don't know if I can promise you when I'm counting it out if it was all the same. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't do that instead of flip it over. That I can't promise you because I don't remember. But I know in my wallet, yes, they are all facing the same direction.
Because that was very, very, very disconcerting to me.
I could just see him sitting over there like,
oh, and if you go through a value box and you buy maybe $12 worth of cards, don't pay with $100 bill.
Right.
Please don't do that. The dealer's not a bank.
No.
He's not an ATM.
No, I'm not a baller, but I didn't even bring hundreds. I just did 20s and 10s, you know?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then anyone, and I'm not going for some sort of recognition, anybody that you didn't meet that you want to meet at the National. I don't want to hear my name because I know I'm not. I will fart and make that toxic smell. It'll seem like a Febreze or some sort of Glade puffing thing from your outlet.
Well,
a lot of people sort of had that. Oh, well, I don't know if it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Well, I can't because now I'm back to work full time instead of at home, or whatever the case may have been. Anybody that's on your list of people that, man, I still haven't met them, or for Brad, we met a wide swath of people for this.
Yeah, I will say I literally met 70 people. I would say. I don't think that's Wouldn't you say that's about right if you combine just the get-togethers afterwards, the different people throughout the 3 days? I would say it's about 70 people, different people. You know.
Tommy Golf 85 is still
on
the list.
Yeah.
I want to meet that fucking guy so bad, but I don't think has he ever been to a National?
No, not that I ever remember.
Fuck.
If he has, it's been close.
Not in the YouTube era, anyways.
Can you imagine him, Brad, at the Lowe's thing that they got with the trade night? Can you imagine?
Oh yeah, because he would
his
be
reaction?
drunk and just running through those hallways shouting shit. You know he would be having a great time here at Lowe's. You know?
That would be the number one.
I would say I was really bummed. Obviously, Everett, unfortunately, with his dad dying, couldn't come. And then Michael Shane, due to the COVID issues, fears, couldn't come. Those were two I was excited to meet that was not there. Trying to think anyone else. There's got to be like plenty of other people. But those were two that were supposed to go that ended up not going that I was pretty bummed when I heard they weren't going to be there.
Everyone in the group, everyone in our group chat, Dave and Steve and Vinny will know. All you need to aim for AC. Come on, Carlos, Steve.
Not AC.
Oh, we'll walk on the boardwalk.
That is not on my bucket list. Chicago, Cleveland, I would consider it, but not Atlantic City.
You never know with the better half.
On the boardwalk.
Vinny's been to the Jersey Shore before. I mean, it'll get his seal of approval, Steve.
Yeah, I've
You
been
gotta
there.
make the trek.
Nope. Atlantic City is not on my bucket list. Like I said, Chicago because of Wrigley Field, Cleveland because of the Hall of Fame. I mean, to me, there's some interest there, but Atlantic City, I have no interest.
See, what you got to do is go on the boardwalk and have a pelican poop on you, and then go in the casino and you get like $700-800, and then you go buy cards. See,
I'm not that lucky.
This sounds like something he's
I'm not
doing.
that lucky.
I'm
not.
When
I
was-
want to see another cool thing about AC. I want to see like Amish Dave sitting at the slot machines next to those old Jersey ladies who just puff the cigarettes and they keep putting $100 bills in the machine, just keep puffing away. But Amish Dave sitting next to them, being like, "You making moves? You making plays?"
You will not
Belching.
I will not go to the casino. I think I've put a quarter in to like one slot machine once, other than like buying a Powerball or a Mega Millions when it gets to like $800 billion. I'm like, I do enough gambling with the cards, and I figure I'm not really doing well with that. I don't need to have a whammy and press my luck elsewhere. So
that comment is
Exactly, Carlos.
I did
exactly.
say, Ed, you did pick like the worst day to wear the jacket.
Oh,
Wednesday was the worst. Thursday was
yes.
next, but then it got better each day. But yeah, you wore on one of the worst
I
days.
don't know. Did you catch the part where I was talking about the face, the mask, where I had to take off?
Oh
the
yeah,
mask?
because you were supposed to wear one, but my guess is you couldn't breathe.
Yeah, no.
Yeah,
Literally,
because I saw multiple people do that.
I took 2 masks with me too. I brought 2 because you have to wear them. It's required to wear them for Lyft and Uber, and obviously on the flight to get there.
Right.
But I ruined the one mask. It was like drenched in sweat, and I'm like, "This is disgusting."
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to wear a mask. I have to save the other one for the flight home and for the Ubers or the Lyfts. I was like, I have the vaccine, so
Yeah, with that many people, man, it's like you've already committed. You might as well just go.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm like, it's not like I even have the N95 mask. It's just like so I was just like, screw it.
Yeah, I knew you said you wanted to wear one, but I knew with how hot it was, like I said, especially Thursday, there was no way you were keeping that on for 8 hours.
No.
what do you think?
And that's where experience going to the National backfired, because I've been to that convention center before. I've been to the National in Chicago. It gets cold in there. So Brian Rolfe was telling Dead Guy Cardboard to bring a hoodie because it gets real cold in the convention center. It does get cold in there, but holy shit, it was like walking. It was like working in a kitchen at some points. It was that hot and humid in there. It was ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. It was hotter. I said this earlier. It was hotter inside than it was outside, and it was weird. So no
What do you
mask.
think? What do you think the percentage was each day you guys were there, masked versus unmasked?
10% max, wouldn't you say, of mask?
I would say like 10 to 20%.
Yeah.
Because if there was 100,000 people, I would say about like 20,000 were masked. A lot. There was a couple of dealers that were wearing masks.
Yeah.
But it was just, I mean, if you have the vaccine, at least for me, I had all intentions of wearing the mask the whole week, but
Yeah.
he put 3%. I would say it was 3%.
I would have
than
put
that.
10. I would have
Yeah.
put 10.
But it was disgusting. I was just like, this thing is soaked. I'm like, I'm not breathing through this. Fuck that.
Not to change the subject, but I'd like to go on a record briefly. So, the better half, aka Vinny's wife, is in Colorado this week for business. For those who know me, I had one request, and she has been able to locate said request, and my wife and I are going to be happy people. She has located Terrell Davis barbecue sauce,
Ooh.
and I'm looking forward to receiving it in the near future. And I'm going to leave it at that. So, better half was on earlier, and I told her I thanked her then. I thanked her multiple times prior to, of course, the show. But I want to go on record, at least on the show, and be thank you. You are going to make my wife even more happy than me because she loves it. The stuff is fantastic. And I would highly recommend it for anybody who hasn't tried it, if you can get your hands on it. But you have to know somebody in Colorado. Just throwing that out there.
Is
I
there?
think I've asked this before. You can't buy it on eBay, right?
You can, but it's one of those in which you're taking a chance with somebody potentially having it for an extended period of time. At least if you get it locally and have it shipped to you, you know it's within date, so to speak.
Yes.
How many
So-
varieties, or is it just the one? 'Cause you can
There's
have, like,
two. There's
Okay.
two. There's a regular and there's a spicy. And I requested both. But it's all dependent on what she could find, of course. I'll be happy with either.
And we're working on a source
Just-
for future endeavors. We'll have
Even
a
better.
person.
request
You-
all.
Even better because it's we there is nothing here, and I know that's crazy to say. Here in Texas, you would think you could find decent barbecue sauce. There is some good ones here locally, but it's one of those in which I've had it before from a fellow YouTuber, and he would send it to me regularly, and I have not found anything that is anywhere close to it. It is by far the best I've had. So I'm looking forward to it, and I know it'll also make my wife happy, which is even like more bonus. So
Dude, who wouldn't want to try that? Friggin' Terrell Davis made a barbecue sauce. It sounds awesome.
and I have two unopened bottles in my curio cabinet that it's one of those in which I would get when I used to get it. I would use part of it and then I would save it, at least one of the bottles, because as a Terrell Davis collector, I collect everything Terrell Davis. I've got NFL Game Day. I've got this. I've got that. So it's one of those in which it goes beyond cards. So I do have my two bottles of Terrell Davis barbecue sauce, one regular, one spicy, and they stay in my curio cabinet. And they're like 8 years old, so they're beyond expiration, and I could never use them. So I've been wanting some for quite some time, and thanks to the better half for going out on a special journey just to get me barbecue sauce. That's freaking awesome. So with that, we will go ahead, since Vinny has joined us. Welcome, Vinny. I know you were unable to interact in the chat because you were working, but it is now time for Dave to go now on the hot seat and open a couple packages that came into the mail. So everybody, just be ready.
So these are care packages?
Not exactly.
Oh, okay. I'm
This is
ready.
something now for something completely different.
Yes, something completely different. And these are the times that I wish we actually went ahead and got the full blown so we could, expand on Dave. But that's coming too, by the way, in the near future. No, this is not cards, folks. This is not cards. And Vinny, you are ready, right?
Yeah, I'm ready. I
Okay.
was born ready.
Dave's going to give the flabbergasted look. Oh, he's got the look. He's got the look. Go ahead, Dave. Let's see it. Oh, what's this?
I haven't even read what's on
There's
the
a
back.
back to it. Yeah.
What is it, Ed?
Branded now.
Wow. Merchandising.
Yep.
But there's one more.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Rare time you get me speechless.
That's the point.
I love it.
That's awesome.
So this is what you're going to see in the other one. And it says the same thing on the back.
They even got the beard and the hat. That's nice.
Yeah, I just saw
See?
that.
Yeah.
So for those who have been following us for a long time, this has been an ask for a long time. So Ed, now you can officially shut the fuck up. So these are prototypes. This is courtesy of Vinny's daughter, who has you're too high, Dave. Bring it down.
I know. I'm looking at that.
Oh, okay. So these are the prototypes. Vinny's daughter actually has all the equipment to do these. Okay, so Vinny and I have been working on this in conversations for probably the last 10 months, give or take. We've had multiple conversations, and there are a few individuals. Carlos saw this design previously, as far as what we were thinking. Even Bobby saw it. Bob also saw it, and
Did Mike Baseball Collector see it too? I mean,
no.
Somebody said
So this is what we were thinking, because all of you guys are as much a part of this as we are, and these are the only two designs that we did. Benny and I have consistently had back and forth conversations as it pertains to other future ideas, ways to change some of this. We want you guys to start thinking about it. So, like I said, these are prototypes. This is not what we're going with. This is not anything final. We want y'all's feedback as it pertains to what you guys want to see. Do we go with, this one as it is? We can play around with the colors. We can do some different color shirts. I've already told Vinny, the one with Bob's sticky note, I think we actually need to go with the bigger version on the front instead of like the small emblem over the one side. The saying is what we're known for, though, and to me that's prominent. That stays. That saying is the IRP. We have debated that conversation since its inception. Things and stuff, stuff and things. Which one is it? So it's catchy. I like what we put together from that standpoint. but we want your guys' feedback. So think about it. You don't have to sit there and, throw it all out, while we're still wrapping up the show or whatnot. Be thinking about it. We want your feedback. We want you guys to feel a part of this as well. And once we come up with something that's finalized, then we'll look to start offering it up to those who want to make a purchase. Now, please keep in mind, these are going to take some time because these are a labor of love by Vinny's daughter. We do have to procure the shirts based on sizes, and you have to be cognizant also of the color of shirt that you want, because depending on what colors we go with, because with these, my hat should be white, okay? Dave's beard should be brown, and my earbuds should be white. So it's something to consider. I'm interested to hear what Brad, Ed, you have to say. Ed, you've been on us for months about this.
Dude, I love it.
Cardboard Underground. Cardboard Underground has been on us about this for a long time as well. There are others that have mentioned it in the chat. We want you guys to be a part of this. So this is, in conversations that Vinny and I have had and spitballing this, this has been a long, drawn-out plan. And thank you to Vinny's daughter. And yes, I'm not going to. I know his daughter's name, but I'm not going to call it out here on the podcast because I'm not doing that. This has been a labor of love for her as well, in favor for us and for Vinny. So it's one of those in which, there you have it. IRP merchandise is going to be a thing. It will be a slow mover because as it pertains to creation, because it's being done through family.
We need a beer koozie with the logo.
We can do that.
We have thought about all sorts of things, Ed. We've talked about koozies. We've talked about hats. We've talked about hoodies. We have options here, but we don't want to expand anything until we get to the point of where we are set on a standard design. And then as the years progress, if this continues to progress, we'll look at offering like alternatives. We haven't even determined price point yet, guys. So this is all early on.
At least $100.
Not that much. Not that much.
Yeah, they're not Panini. Come on.
So should I give the shout out to my daughter to be?
You can, of course, give a shout out to your daughter, but I didn't.
Yeah. So I got 3 daughters. So Shelby's my oldest, Haley's my middle, and C is my baby. And so Haley, yes, you're my youngest. Thank you. But I'm not telling who my favorite is. So Haley, we bought her. She really wanted to get into this about a year ago. So she's got the press. She's got the cricket thingamabobber. She's got a thing that you could make Yetis on, the tumblers, the hats, all that kind of stuff. And then she can make Christmas ornaments. Wouldn't you want your Christmas tree to be decorated with that face? Come on now. So we were sitting there one day. I said, they're talking about merch. I looked at her. I said, hey, Hales. I said, can you do this if we figure it out? I said, I thought of Mystery Science Theater, the silhouette thing, and I said, that's what I'm going to try. So I put it all together. I take a picture of Dave and Steve on a TV, and I said, here's the details I want. I want the hat to say Las Vegas. I want the earbuds. You got to see the beard and the glasses. And then the Insert Revolution podcast, and then I'll figure something out for the back. So I'm working with all this, and then I said, how am I going to go about doing this? Because I want to surprise Dave, but I want to surprise Steve. And like in the schmuck that I am, I let it slip to Steve, so we were all in. So I said, so Steve and I collaborated over the last a long time, because much as you know, my daughter Haley, she's like an NFL penalty of delay of game. So she took some time because she works full time too. So she wanted to make it perfect. She tried 3 different kind of ways to do the shirt, and the way she ended up doing it this way, because the one I have, if you can see it, it's kind of like this is the original prototype. This was done 3 months ago. So as you can tell, it's a different kind of the way you put it on it. Now she uses some kind of technique, and she has it down where you can wash it like 50 times before it starts to fade. And then this is cotton, where those are 100% polyester, which holds the thing better. So I want to thank my daughter Haley because she did a bang up job, and thank you and love you and all that good stuff.
Great job, Haley.
So more to come, but like I said before, all of you guys are as much a part of this family as Dave and I are. We are not the IRP without you guys, and I mean that. So you've seen the prototypes, you've seen what they've looked like, you somewhat see the colors. Throw out some recommendations. Whether you send it to Dave, whether you send it to Vinny on Instagram, whether you send it to me on Instagram, it doesn't matter. We want your feedback. We want your opinions. And I mean that. We want your ideas because, like I said, we aren't IRP without y'all. End of conversation. So be thinking about it. You've seen what they look like. You've seen kind of what we're thinking. We do have other options. We can make this. We can go hats. We're not thinking that yet, but I mean, we can go that route if we want to.
There are so many shirt ideas I can think of.
This should be right at bedtime.
We could have like the buckle hats so people can wear them backwards and sideways. Let's go.
So Vinny and I have already talked about doing like our standard, just run of the mill hashtag shirt that has come out of the IRP. Just all the various hashtags in which we've called out throughout the airing of IRP. And it's like
those football jerseys or basketball with all the accolades on the back under the number. It's like 7-time scoring champion, 5-time All-Star, 3-time state player of the year, 6-time philanthropist of the year. It's like you're just...
Yep. So the sky is the limit. And this is just, this is kind of what we were initially thinking about early on. I still love the saying on the back of it because that is really the foundation of what we built this on. And it just kind of sums up everything. So unless anybody has any suggestions on slight changes to that.
I'd have, and again, this is just great being blindsided by you guys, fuckers. Having something like EST 2020 somewhere on there for when we were established, and then somewhere even under the back. And again, I don't know how to do this stuff. So it might be stuff you can't do. I don't know. I'm not smart with that shit. I'm barely smart enough to do this from my phone. But something with like the catchphrase at the end. That's one of the first things I thought of.
We had talked about that as well. Early on, we even considered, in the silhouettes having, me with the bubble saying "just saying" and you having your, and again. I mean, there is so many things that have come out of this show that could be turned into shirts. And it's one of those in which we somewhat had to cement on something in order to kind of make this reveal. And we didn't want it to draw out to the year. It just so happened we were able to make the expectations of making it live for episode 50, which I still think is a huge accomplishment for us and for you guys to to continue coming and hanging out week after week. We heard you. We've heard you for a long time. It's been a while in the making because we've had a lot of discussions. We've had, and yes, Bob knows exactly what that is. That is the sticky note that was included in a purchase that I made from him months ago. And I asked for permission to use it. So that's where that comes. That's where that came from. But after seeing it, I think it needs to be bigger in the event that if we use that as a shirt idea, we want to come up with at least with a couple of designs. So you guys have options. We don't want it to just be one shirt. We at least want a few options based on, what you feel for that day or that month or that year or whatever. So be thinking about it. Reach out to us. Provide suggestions, recommendations.
Right now, any consideration for like Insert Revolution podcast, and then on the bottom is like a ranch.
Anything
like the shores of Lake Superior in the background.
You can move that on the back, and then on the bottom of that, you can have the tagline at the end.
Or have Insert Revolution podcast established 2020, and in the center, a silver dish, like a silver platter with like a crispy chicken sandwich.
We talked about something pertaining to chicken sandwiches. I mean,
Yeah, you should just be the design guy, Ed, and just get it over.
Dude, there's so many. I mean, there's been so many quotes and so many hashtags, like Steve and Dave were saying, like throughout the 50 episodes. You can probably make like 1,000 shirts of different designs.
Have it like a high school graduation where you have your autographs like screen printed on there of the whole class or whatever. You could have that just like speckled on the back. Where you're walking down, you have like Bob's big little note thing there that the Cro-Magnon dude established 2020, and on the back you can have Schmedium, exclamation point.
You gotta have Schmedium.
And I mean that's got to be like front and center. Maybe you can sort of put his face in smaller.
As you know, the sky is the limit. So we welcome the ideas. Benny, hopefully you've been paying attention to some of what's been thrown out there.
It's recorded.
Just contact Ed and then go take 2 hours and just write all this stuff.
I might buy like 4 of these shirts. Maybe I'll buy 6 of them, one for every day.
I told Haley, I said, be ready. She goes, how popular can you guys be? I said,
Wow.
We're popular. we're the cool kids.
No, we're the real kids.
We're actually the devil's rejects.
I don't know. I'm hashtag Team Schmedium now. So
yeah.
Yeah. You'll never go wrong with rocking a Schmedium. Never.
Brad was signed away from us over the weekend, so
yeah, we're gonna have to start paying Brad to make appearances on the show. So we're gonna need all the revenue we can get in order to pay these guests moving forward, Dave.
Did you ever see those shirts that have like that material on there that you can flip up and it's shiny? Bobby, that's what we'll do. We'll bedazzle the hell out of them. We'll just bedazzle them, and it'll be like that one Ben Baller edition shirts.
yeah. Naomi's got a bunch of those lip shirts or whatever they're called, and yeah, if there's one like that, and I gave that to her, she'd probably, I don't know what she'd do. That'd be another reaction video. Like, what the hell is this? Like you're gonna wear it your first day of school.
So be thinking, guys, seriously, and then in the coming weeks, we'll find a way to show off some of the feedback and some of the designs, or at least what we're thinking, and then you guys can pick. Vinny, I'll let you have the conversation with Haley on the number of designs that everybody can choose from. So you talk to her about it as it pertains from that perspective, whether we go 3, 4, 5 or whatnot.
Yep.
This being a labor of love, it will take some time.
Yep.
Because my wife will be purchasing the shirts here locally, which means they will have to be shipped to Michigan. They will then have to be made, and then they will have to be shipped to you guys. From that perspective, we're trying to keep this all on the back end early on.
But
So
you'll still get them quicker than you order from ComC.
that is true.
So,
That is true. That is
Yeah.
something we can at least guarantee.
That's a sale point right there.
Uh,
Quicker than ComC.
You can
and
see
there's always the possibility that maybe the first few that potentially get ordered, Dave and I and Vinny may autograph them. I'm just throwing that out there as a possibility.
It's like, oh,
okay. You can't see our machines in space.
tumble in.
Yeah.
So,
It's not
Dave,
the-
I'm interested to hear your take on it, because it's been a while since you've had the face as it pertains to, you really don't have anything to say, and that's ultimately what we were hoping for. I mean, what are you thinking?
I like them. Again, you guys are fucking bastards, but I like them.
Well, that's what you should come to expect.
I know this.
So-
It doesn't matter if I expect it or not. That's,
So, of course, I opened mine before, because I knew that they were coming. And I will go ahead and share this because it is quite humorous. So I chose to wear this one because it's almost like the universe kind of made this happen. So my shirt that has the Post-it note is upside down on mine. And Haley was very disappointed at the fact that she actually did it upside down. And Vinny was like, no, you don't understand. That is almost perfectly fitting as it pertains to the show in general, and the fact that is from Bob. He's like, don't worry about it. And these being prototypes, but my kid wants that shirt. She doesn't want this one. She wants the messed up one. She's like, I want that. I want to wear it. So, all in all, this ended perfectly as it pertains to the reveal. Thanks again, Vinny, for having the conversation with Haley, and all of us working together. At least the three of us working together. Glad we put a smile on your face, Dave. Ed, like I said, you can't say anything more other than the fact that now it's kind of up to you guys to present some additional ideas. We'll present them in the coming shows. You guys ultimately decide on which designs we want to go with, and then we'll take it from there. And we'll start looking at potentially taking orders. Yes. That'll be an extra $150 to confirm it's not autographed.
I told Haley, I said, I said, if this was pre-national, I said, Ed would have ordered a wardrobe. I said, he'd have had one for every day.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
said he would have started his Wesker Griff line. I said, because that's a possibility too. You never know. The Wesker Griff collection.
I would have been rocking those IRP shirts, and the one time I bumped into Sasha T, I would have been like, try to get on camera and just go.
and then Brad, you could have been like, hey,
Oh man, you guys really missed the opportunity. I've been twice.
Yes. Oh man, can you imagine that?
Just
Oh,
randomly like 100 more subscribers overnight.
Like,
you're like, what's going on here?
What the hell is this IRP thing? What are you talking about?
why are these guys talking about chicken sandwiches?
They talk about canes more than I've heard more stories about canes and cane sauce from those guys.
But on the flip side, Ed, with the number of times you have brought up the IRP and mixed conversation and live streams and everything else, people look at you like you've lost your fucking mind. So just throwing that out there. But
You're the
on
one
the flip
laughing
side,
now, Ed.
but on the flip side, you know, we enjoy this. Obviously, you guys enjoy it. We have a good time. It's, you know, there's still a lot of things in development as it pertains to future shows on the channel, standalone videos, not live streams only. So this has turned into a labor of love, and you know, it's something that Dave and I enjoy, and of course, you know, we appreciate you guys, as I've said before. Without you guys, this isn't a thing.
We appreciate you.
But we mean it. There's the difference. We actually mean it. There is not money transferring hands, at least not at the moment. That may come later with the merchandise, but that. This all started with, you know, a random text conversation between Dave and I about doing something like this almost a year ago. And here we are 50 episodes in. Technically, we would be at week 51 if we didn't take a break. So technically, next week will technically be the 1 year anniversary of the IRP. Wow. So it's a milestone, honestly, that I didn't think that we would obtain.
I'll say, dang it, I'm going to be out $50 if that happens.
You got to crack open something special for that episode.
What did you have in mind, Ed?
Yeah, top shelf. I don't know what top shelf liquor you like, but you got to crack something open.
I can drink the Makers as long as I have it, since that's my alcohol preference. Carlos has already called it all out. We don't even have to do anything for the end of the show. Thank you, Carlos. But Dave, I'll leave it up to you. We're coming up on almost 2:45. If anybody else has anything else in the comments that you want to throw out there, I do mean it, though, for anybody who has suggestions, recommendations, or anything, hit either one of the three of us up on Instagram or whatever. Ed, you know how to get in touch with us as it pertains to the group chat. So throw them out there as well if you want. Everybody else, feel free to hit us up on Instagram, provide us some ideas, some recommendations, some suggestions, and in the coming weeks, we'll come to the table with what we think are the best ones, and we'll go from there.
What a night for Paul not to be here.
He was here.
Yeah, he was here earlier, but he had to go to work.
Yeah, because he's on night shift.
I was going to say, that if he comes back and watches it, he'll be floored.
Schlitz. Definitely Schlitz.
Some Steel Reserve.
Line fed.
Old English and a 40.
Yeah, some Mickey 40.
Oh, what was that stuff from Pennsylvania? Can't think. It had a guy. It looked like the Monopoly man on it. Oh, I don't know if they had it in Philly yet. My grandpa used to Stoney's. Did you ever hear of Stoney's beer?
I've never heard of Stoney's.
Yeah, that was a beer back when my grandpa used to drink it by the case, and the case had look like the Monopoly man with a big old beer, and he was just looked intoxicated on the thing. It was good times. It was. I was trying.
You ever hear of Lion's Head, Vinny?
Yeah.
That's like cheaper than PBR. I mean, you can get a 24 bottle case for like I think like $8 or something like that. It's like the cheapest stuff on like any kid in high school or broke college kid. That's what they were buying for their party.
Beecham's grocery store in southwestern Pennsylvania. Just beer. just like on The Simpsons. It just said white can beer. Don't know where it was bottled. Had no other information. I drank that one time, and I thought I wouldn't see for 3 days. It was an adventure. Yeah.
Probably off like a movie set or something.
So, Dave, coming up on 2:45. If you want to go ahead and wrap us up for the evening.
I think we're good. I think we did what we wanted to do. We got some new folks in tonight too, which again, see Andy from She Blended Me with Your Fractors, Jason, old school guy before you, but we were on YouTube, Foxy, part of that old crew with P Daz and Adam J, and trying to think of the DJ Polly from Phenom Dave from way back when in the day. Good discussion. This was a real fun one, and I knew it would be. And I'm happy you guys came on. Vinny and your goddamn surprises behind my back.
It wasn't just Vinny. I had a part in that, just FYI.
I blame you too. BT, we gotta remember BT from back in the days. Yee. Yeah, just this is one of the most fun shows. I mean, a lot of them are super fun. This was a really fun one. Comments are coming in, questions, just stories. You see this regular stories on all the recaps. You know, hey, we met people, we had good times, we had fun. I want to hear more. I want to hear like just a moment over here where you didn't really talk about it. Maybe because you don't want to put it on your channel, that's fine. Over here, it's accepted. That's what we want. We want those moments that are sort of shrouded behind the bushes, behind the curtains, underneath that table. You want those moments to see the light of day. So I'm glad you guys came in. Ed, Brad, thank you for stopping by. Rennie, everybody was firing through in the chat. Just a lot of people tonight, which is good. It makes our job much more fun. The time goes by. You're not umming and gonna like fill time gaps. You can just let the stories flow. Again, harken back to the old blog days when it was super fun, and that's what we're trying to bring you here. If you weren't around for the blog days, we're trying to bring that slice of Americana to you right now. So remember, like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, Patreon, Venmo, Cash App, EMT, money order, money transfers, Western Union, well-concealed cash. Uncle Willie does say hi. Hopefully he's not with Glider Man right now. Crypto wallets open for business. I don't know. Money drops if you just have a bag of money and you know where we live and you can just drop it there. That's fine too. We'll take that. Just hit and run basically with money. Not aim for IEC where it might be an actual hit and run. MySpace, yep. MSN Messenger, AOL Instant Messenger.
What about LiveJournal?
OnlyFans, we can't forget that. That's booming.
Discord,
yeah.
Definitely have LiveJournal.
Whatever's out there, we got it. And if we don't, it's not worth having. So, Steve, Ed, Brad, Vinny, I'm Dave. This has been the Insert Revolution podcast. Remember, collecting cards, absolutely awesome. The friendships that come along with collecting, that's what makes this hobby really special. Good night, everyone.
good night, everybody.
Good night.